You felt it your entire life, that there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there. You can feel it.
Get up on out the bed, start to move your bones. Wake up a word in Solomon Jones. Word. You better wake up now.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD, and I want to welcome you to another edition of Wake Up with Word. Kawesa, how are you this morning?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
I'm doing okay. It looks like the snow's melting a little bit.
Yeah,
The ice a little bit.
A little
But I'm
rainy.
not driving it a whole lot. So how's it feeling outside?
It's cold to me still, like this morning. It's a little rainy. I think it's supposed to kind of be spitting a little bit today, so we'll see what happens. But it's not too bad. It's just the roads are a little wet. So if anybody's out there driving, I would just take it slow. That's all. Just take it slow.
And you know people drive a little bit crazier when it's close to Christmas, right?
They do. Oh, they do. I know this.
Like, you know, you want to be alive to give the gift, don't you? Like, slow down a little bit. Especially, like, the most dangerous place in time in America is mall parking lots on Christmas Eve. I'm just letting you know. Mall parking lots on Christmas Eve, Karen and them, Lord have mercy. You better watch yourself.
Yeah, and they don't know how to act either. They just be walking, like, darting out in front. I'm like, what are you don't see this car coming? Like, stop. Like, get off your phone. Like, just take a moment. Check out your surroundings. There's a whole car coming your way.
Oh, my
God.
Crazy stuff. But this year is going to be even crazier because of coronavirus. And here's the latest coronavirus news. Trump administration political appointees tried to block or change more than a dozen government reports that detailed scientific findings about the spread of the virus. That's according to a coronavirus subcommittee led by Congressman James Clyburn. He said investigators have found evidence of a political pressure campaign to bully professionals at the CDC in what may have been an attempt to cripple the nation's coronavirus response in a misguided effort to achieve herd immunity. For those who don't know, herd immunity is a theory that says the best way to achieve overall immunity for a disease is to let everyone get it. Yeah, they said that regarding a disease that's killed 300,000 people. But wait, there's more. Republican lawmakers who helped the Trump administration to play down the pandemic are now jumping ahead of the vulnerable to receive the first vaccine injections. Among those jumping the line is Florida Senator Marco Rubio. Yup, the same Marco Rubio who recently showed up without a mask and spoke at one of Trump's super spreader events. The same Rubio who undermined COVID protocols even as seniors in his home state were dying. But Rubio is not alone. South Carolina Senator and ardent Donald Trump supporter Lindsey Graham also received the shot, even as others are dying while waiting for their turn. I know a lot of us are questioning whether we should take the vaccine, and the questions are certainly legitimate. But the one thing we can't question is this: Trump and his minions are shady. We got a hot show for you today on Wake Up with Word. Lilyhead and her sister Joyce Christian talk about their father's experience as one of the men in the Tuskegee experiment. Lawyer Michael Kuckelman on the case of Lionel Womack, who was injured after being run over by a police car. Dr. Elena McDonald and Dr. Delana Wardlaw on the coronavirus. And CNN commentator Roxanne Jones on a new study indicating that black kids are 6 times as likely to be shot by police than their white counterparts. And as always, we've got you, our listeners, calling in at 215-634-8065, a toll-free 1-866-361-0900. Hit us on Twitter and Instagram at onWURD, or you could hit me personally at Solomon Jones 1. Watch us on Facebook at FullWord. But first, it's the big three, the news stories you need to know to kick off your day right here on Wake Up with Word. Story number 1, remember the coronavirus aid we told you about? Well, it's one step closer to reality. Late last night, the Senate approved a mammoth package of emergency economic relief, government funding, and tax cuts, sending one of the largest pieces of legislation ever approved by Congress to President Trump for his signature. The legislation was the product of intense negotiations over the past 2 weeks and was introduced as a 5,500-page bill earlier yesterday. The Senate passed the bill with a 91-7 vote at 11:42 p.m., about 2 hours after the House easily passed it. The bill reflected a growing unease in Washington about the spike in coronavirus cases and deaths and recent signs that the economy is weakening. Vice President-elect Kamala Harris, who is still a senator from California until next month, was among the bipartisan group of lawmakers to vote on the bill. One of the main planks of the bill includes sending direct payments of $600 to Americans who earn less than $75,000 in the preceding tax year. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin on Monday said millions of Americans could begin seeing stimulus payments as early as next week. Coesa, $600.
Run me my money. That's just give my money. Like, stop. Like, I need it. Just send it over to me. I appreciate it. Thank you so very much. I'd like to thank the Academy for, like, just give me my money. Stop playing games. I want it right now.
I know that's right. Get you a lunch or something. Buy you something nice, baby. It's like when your grandma give you some money.
I know. Like a little pocket change. Thank you for the pocket change. Appreciate it, Nana.
Pull it out of that little purse you got.
Right.
Lord have mercy. Well, spend your $600 well, which brings me to story number 2. Attorney General William Barr on Monday rejected several of President Donald Trump's inflammatory and unfounded statements regarding the presidential election, saying at a news conference that he does not plan to appoint a special counsel to investigate President-elect Joe Biden's son, Hunter, or to investigate the election. If I thought a special counsel at this stage was the right tool and was appropriate, I would name one, but I haven't and I'm not going to, Barr said in response to a question on the presidential election. He said that widespread fraud wasn't found in this election. Barr also roundly rejected suggestions from the president's supporters in recent days who've called for the U.S. government to seize voting machines. I see no basis for seizure of machines by the federal government, Barr said Monday. It was Barr's last major news conference leading the Justice Department under Trump and highlighted how much the Attorney General has split from a president to whom he remained close until recent weeks. Trump has inquired about the need for special investigations of Hunter Biden and on so-called voting fraud, and he continues to entertain and distribute unfounded theories that the presidential election was stolen from him. There is fraud, unfortunately, in most elections. I think we're too tolerant of it, he said. But in this election, Barr said, he stands by the finding that there was no systemic or broad-based fraud, a finding the president refuses to admit. So, Bill Barr speaking for itself for once, Coesa, what do you think?
I mean, I appreciate it. I guess, at the end of the day, he's burning bridges on his way out, and I appreciate it. I don't really appreciate the fact that he was, Donald Trump's lackey for the entire time that he was in office. He sat there and did everything for him, but not for the American people. So, I mean, I'm not giving him a cookie for this. I'm not giving him a pat on the back, but I do appreciate the fact that he is speaking up now. But, like, you're late. Like, the party been over. Like, you're super late. So, but, hey, it is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. That's what Donald Trump said when all his people was dying from COVID. So it is what it is now that you lost the election. It is what it is, which brings me to story number 3. It's a broad-based question. Is the media racist? Large papers in major cities are starting to pose that question about themselves. And more, they're answering yes. The Kansas City Star has apologized for what it's calling decades of, quote, robbing an entire community of opportunity, dignity, justice, and recognition. The Star, one of the most influential news sources in the region, says it has, quote, disenfranchised, ignored, and scorned generations of Black Kansas Cityans for the last 140 years. It reinforced Jim Crows and redlining, wrote Mike Fannin, president and editor of the Star, in a column apologizing for the coverage by the paper on Sunday, decade after early decade. And that's a key phrase, decade after early decade, it robbed an entire community of opportunity, dignity, justice, and recognition. The Star is now apologizing for its actions and has published the first part of a 6-part package examining the Star's coverage of Kansas City. Reporters were frequently sickened by what they found, he wrote. Decades of coverage that depicted black Kansas Cityans as criminals living in a crime-laden world. They felt shame at what was missing. The achievements, aspirations, and milestones of an entire population routinely overlooked as if black people were invisible. And so the mayor said it was a positive step by the Kansas City Star. He's looking for his local TV news people to do the same thing. The move comes, of course, after months of protests after the death of Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, and so many others. And the Los Angeles Times already did it, a couple of months ago. And so my question is this, right? Y'all apologizing for what happened in your early history. What about now? How many black editors do you have? How many black people sit on your board? How many black people are in positions of authority? How many black people do you have working at the newspaper? How many black people do you cover? How many black people do you know? Have you ever had a black person to your house for dinner? I mean, I got a whole lot of questions about you apologizing for your early history 100 years ago. No, I want to talk about now. Let's talk about now. Let's talk about the way that you've covered black people in recent decades. And certainly, there's been better coverage lately after black people, ran in the street and went off. You know what I mean? And it's like, why we got to do all that? Why got to be all that? Like, don't talk about, what you did 100 years ago. I want to know what you're doing now. And not the surface stuff about we wrote a nice story about this black lady who's helping kids in her community. No, I want you to get down to the nitty gritty, because it goes back to what I said yesterday, that every institution in the United States has a hand in racism. Every one of them. That's why we call it systemic, because it runs through systems. The media is a system, right? Where you have white people in charge who many of them trying to do the right thing. But you don't know no black people. You know nothing about us. You've never had a black person at your house. If your daughter brought a black man home, what would you say? What would you do? How would you feel? Would your racism rise up? If you confronted a black person, at a store and, I don't know, you both were trying to get the same thing, would racism make you feel like you were entitled to it? If you saw a black person in the elevator, would you clutch your pearls, clutch your purse? Do you have just implicit bias? And in your business, right? Because all of those things reflect on what we do in our everyday interactions, in our jobs, in our business, right? How many black people are in positions of authority? How many black editors do you have making decisions on what your headlines say? How many black people do you have who actually have knowledge of the communities that they're covering? I'm not talking about somebody black that don't know nobody black themselves. I'm talking about somebody who has roots in the hood. So it's nice that you're apologizing for what happened 100 years ago. I want to talk about now. Everybody want to talk about what happened 100 years ago. I want to talk about now. What are you doing right now around the call for racial justice? Beyond writing editorials about it. Beyond writing about what you did 100 years ago. Beyond rehashing what happened in the past. What are you doing to help move things forward now? That's my question. You know what I mean? Because, I'm at the point now where, I'm tired of platitudes. I don't want to hear your apology for what had happened 100 years ago unless there's a check attached to it. Unless there's some reparations attached to it, keep your apology, man. I don't want to hear it. It does nothing for me. I want to know about right now. I want to know about what you're doing now. I want to know about how you're covering black people now. I want to know about what you're doing to pluck black talented writers out of Kansas City and to bring them to your paper to write for you. That's what I want to know. What black videographers do you have doing your videos on your website? That's what I want to know. What black people do you have in position to shape the future, shape the trajectory of that paper? That's what I want to know. Because if you don't have that, I don't want to hear your apology about what some other people did 100 years ago, about how you were sickened by what they did. I'm sickened by what the media does now. I got to be honest. You know, you pat yourselves on the back because you're saying, oh, we so liberal. Look what we're doing. Look, we're denouncing other people. No. Have you looked at what you're doing now? That's my question. So I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD. Don't tell me about your history. I want to know about now. Tell me about now. What are you doing right now, right, to make things better for the black people that you spent decades castigating, that you helped to put into a deficit position, that you helped to keep in the ghetto by the coverage that you gave, that you helped to perpetuate stereotypes about by the stories that you wrote? Like, I don't want to hear about yesterday. Tell me about right now. We want to talk about it. Is the media racist? 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. You can, of course, also weigh in on Facebook at onWURD. That's FORWURD. That's FORWURD. And let us know where you are on these various things we are talking about on this morning show. Of course, Christmas is Friday. And if you want to buy black for the holidays, we've got you covered. WURD Radio is proud to present our virtual holiday marketplace online. Support local, small, black-owned businesses through the marketplace and purchase your holiday gifts today. Go to wordradio.com/marketplace or wordworks.com/marketplace. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
America's biopharmaceutical companies are making progress against COVID-19, now with several promising vaccine candidates in phase 3 clinical trials. With an effort to include people from every walk of life, these trials involve tens of thousands of participants. From development to clinical trials and throughout the manufacturing process, these medicines and vaccines are rigorously tested for safety and effectiveness. Go to pharma.org/coronavirus for updates. Because science is how we get back to normal. Paid for by Pharma.
WURD Radio presents the following wellness tip to support our listeners with mindfulness and motivation as we continue to navigate the pandemic together.
Hi, this is Halana, your resident health and wellness coach with tips to help you stay well. Let's talk about eating mindfully. Often we are rushing from moment to moment and we hurry through our eating like it's checking off an item on our to-do list. Each day for each meal, let's commit to doing these 3 simple things to activate our mindful eating experience. Number 1, slow down. Number 2, eat while you're sitting down. And number 3, chew each bite 20 to 30 times. You can do it. Eating mindfully is something we can all do to support our overall health and digestion. Go ahead and try it for your next meal today. Stay well with WURD. Happy living.
Stay well with WURD. Connect with us at wordradio.com. Now, a traffic update on WURD Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by the Exergen Temporal Scanner. Delays busy out there in spots like I-95 southbound from Cottman Avenue down through Bridge through construction, then Betsy Ross through Girard northbound side. No major problems. Westbound Vine delays Parkway through the Schuylkill Expressway. Looking at the Schuylkill westbound University through 30th, jammed up there. That is ongoing left lane construction east, but a little slow from South Street through University Avenue 55 northbound north of Deptford into 42. A bit of volume there now. Fever is the leading sign of COVID-19. Use an accurate thermometer for twice daily checks. Protect your loved ones with the Exergen Temporal Scanner. It takes an accurate reading in seconds and is the home for thermometer recommended by hospitals, physicians, and clinics. Stay safe with Exergen. For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
Now, a WURD weather update. Here's NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Crystal Cly.
Good morning. We're looking at some spotty showers in the morning, drying out quickly, and that leaves us with sunshine breaking through in the afternoon. The forecast temperature gets up to 45 degrees, and it could be a bit breezy as well. Tonight, dropping down to 28 for the low into your Wednesday morning. In the afternoon Wednesday, 43 for a high with increasing clouds. I'm NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Crystal Cly with your most accurate forecast. Count on it.
It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD, and I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with Word. So it's fashionable now for media organizations to look back in their history and to see what they have done in the past around race and racism. Media helps to perpetuate racism and has done so from the time that we arrived on these shores. Movies help to perpetuate racism by the way that black people are portrayed. I'm always interested when I sit down and I watch old movies with my wife. She likes old movies, and inevitably, there is always something in the film to help to perpetuate a stereotype about black people, that black women are unattractive, or that they are stupid, or that black men are subservient or criminal, or just slavish in their behavior. That black people do not speak. They're like children. They are to be seen but not heard, right? You might see a black person sweeping or mopping or doing some domestic duty, but if you hear a black person speak, then they will speak in a way that makes them sound stupid, that makes them sound mentally deficient, that makes them sound subservient to white people. And that has been the way that black people have been portrayed in film. In newspapers in the past, one of the things that they used to do, one of the tools that they used to use, was that they would always identify a black person with Negro, right? They would put Negro or black or some tag on their name, like, you know, if they wrote Solomon Jones in parentheses, it would be Negro, right? To make sure you know that this person who we're getting ready to say did this heinous thing is black. That this person who we are getting ready to portray as a criminal is black. That this person who we are writing about in a way to reinforce your stereotype and reinforce your hatred of black people, we want to make sure that you know that this person is black, right? And so media has played a tremendous role in the messaging around how black people should be perceived, how black people should be portrayed, how black people should be viewed, right? And so what we've seen now, and I think it's, you know, and again, I think it's a step in a positive direction, but my question is always this: how many black people do you have in positions of authority? And I'm not talking about a position that you just made up so that you could say you had a black person on your executive staff. I'm talking about a position where they actually make decisions about the future, about the outlook, about the vision concerning your company. How many black people are in those positions? Because if they're not in those positions, then guess what? All of what you're saying, you know, doesn't really make a difference. Oh, we're so sorry about what happened in the past. No, what's happening now? How sorry are you, right? Are you sorry enough to hire a black editor? Are you sorry enough to have a black publisher? Are you sorry enough to have black people as copy editors who actually write the headlines? See, what people don't understand, I've been in the media for a number of years. What people don't understand is this, is that in major media organizations, the writers do not write the headlines, the editors do. And many of us only read the headlines. And so the headline might be salacious, right, and exciting, but it might not truly reflect what the article actually says. And so I've had people come at me about, oh, your headline said so-and-so. Well, I didn't write the headline, dog. Did you read the article? Because if you didn't read what I said. You understand what I'm saying? So that is a position of power, to be an editor, to write those headlines. I'll give you another one. The photo editor. How many black photo editors do you have? Because a picture is worth what? 1,000 words. And so who is your photo editor deciding how you are portraying black people? Who's making that decision? You know, so, I mean, it's great to have the apology. It's nice for what happened 100 years ago. But you know what? 100 years ago, everybody that was alive then is dead and gone, right? That's the rationale y'all use for not paying reparation. Oh, we wasn't there then. So why are you apologizing for stuff that you wasn't there for? No, apologize for now. Repent for now. Do something different for now. Like, I want to see you do something different now. Not talk about what other people did and how appalled you were based on what they did 100 years ago. Man, that does nothing for nobody. So I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. Media is powerful. It is powerful. Who's deciding what gets played? And young people get ready to get mad at me. Who's deciding what version of a hip-hop song gets played on the black station as compared to the white station? Uh-oh. Who's deciding what becomes popular? Who's deciding what gets the airplay? How many black people do you have on the Academy Award Committee, the Grammy Committee? Like, media, you know, has been racist from day one. And so my question is, what are you doing now? Let's go to the phone lines, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. Let's go to Calvin from West Philly on line 1. Go ahead, Calvin.
Good morning, Solomon.
Good morning.
Yeah, I agree a lot with what you've been saying all day today. I have seen a lot of things about 15 years where I've watched commercials, the media commercials on TV, where they always show a black woman with a white man on a lot of commercials, and you never see the vice versa where you see the white man with a white woman on a commercial. They seem like they don't want to represent the black man on their commercials when they have a interracial couple.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
And I've seen it. It starts now. They're doing that now.
Yeah.
And the only way I can see that happening is either in my community. I don't see a lot of white men going out with black women, but I see a lot of black men going with white women when I go to different states in this country. I have seen that. And even with sports figures, with the people that's in the sports, you see a lot of black men going out with white women. They had the same thing in Virginia at the Army base, where there's a lot of black men going out are married to white women. But they don't portray that on TV. That's what
No, they don't. No, they don't. You're right. And I want to thank you. I want to thank you for your call. And you know what? You're spot on. And I want to thank you for that. Because I do, Kois, I see a lot of interracial families on commercials, but I think he's right. You don't see black men with white women on those commercials. Is it just me and Calvin, or do you see that too?
Well, it's not just you know, you and Calvin, but I think that, you know, there's also other pieces and aspects to it as well. You know, growing up a brown skinned girl, you know, I would always see commercials where, you know, I wouldn't see representation of a dark skinned black woman with, you know, someone who was of a different race. Like, so I think that, you know, that's the other part that you have to look at, because I always thought that, oh man, you know, white guys only go for, you know, black women who might look a little bit lighter in hue than for me. So like, and so those are some of the stereotypes that have been continuously pushed when we're looking at the media and when we're seeing how when things are portrayed, like even down to the kids. Like I texted my mom this the other day, and it was a car commercial. I won't say the name of the car commercial, but it was like an all brown skin black family. And I don't think in all of my years, I don't remember really seeing like just a core nucleus, like brown family, black, together. And it was so adorable. Her hair was like mine. I was like, oh my gosh, this is the cutest commercial I've ever seen. But a lot of times you don't see that. You always see that, there's this, somehow, or for some reason, they can't portray, just brown skin. Like, so there's colorism, there's racism, there's so many levels to this. And so I don't think that you're not the only person seeing it.
Yeah, I mean, it's deep because, that goes to the whole Aunt Viv thing. Let's not talk about, do we have to? Can we talk about Aunt Viv?
We could talk about it.
Why y'all get rid of dark skin Aunt Viv, man? Y'all could have worked that out, man. I know she had an attitude. I know there was arguments on the set. I know all of that. Why y'all get rid of dark skin Aunt Viv, man? 215-634-80. I'm still scarred from that, Kawesa.
I think a lot of us are, I think they are. And then they had the little reunion, not that long ago. And, I still, and this is no shade to Will Smith, because I mean, I actually appreciate him, for who he is. But, at the same time, though, it wasn't as genuine as I wanted it to be. In regards to, because a lot of the reason why she didn't come back was because of him. It was because of him. And so, we don't want to talk about that. That might get a little messy, but, it wasn't just her. But I think that the narrative was spun to make it look like it was just her, and it wasn't. And then and he said that she was difficult to work with. And as a dark-skinned black woman, when you say things like that, it ends your career.
And that's what she said.
Yep. It did.
And that's what she said in the reunion. She was like, and you didn't see her in anything else. It's like, oh no, she one of them angry black women. You know what I mean? And so it's a lot, man, in terms of how black people are portrayed in media. And so, I'm glad the Kansas City Star and the Los Angeles Times talked about their past coverage. I'm more interested in how many black editors you have in decision-making, day-to-day positions. How many black people are in your ownership group, right? How many black writers have you taken out of the environments that you write about to write about their environment? Like, there's this adage in media as if you cannot write about the communities that you come from because the relationships are too close. I would argue this. I would argue that you want somebody who actually has relationships in those communities so that you can have some context on what it is you're writing about. You're going to bring some black person that's from the suburbs in Minnesota to write about North Philly. Like, they don't know nothing about North Philly. You understand what I'm saying? Like, you have to have somebody who has some knowledge of the community. And I think that's, in many ways, that's been harmful. Because you're so removed, right? And it's all in the service of objectivity. Well, there's no such thing as objectivity. That's why there is the term implicit bias, because there's some things that you just innately, implicitly, like it's in you, and has been taught to you that when you see somebody who looks a certain way, your internal response might be negative. So there's no such thing as objectivity anyway. Objectivity is a lie. Right? So you might as well bring in some people who actually know about the people and the community that they're writing about, that they're filming about, that they're talking about. Like, because if they don't, then there's no context. Right? If you bring people in who know nothing about what's happening in the community, then they can keep on writing about, the reason why the crimes aren't solved is because of no snitching. Well, guess what? Most people in the hood, guess what they do? They go to work. They pay their bills. They don't make a whole lot of money, and so they stay poor. There is systemic racism, and so they stay poor. Like, there's so much to this, man. But I'm going to go to the phone lines. Let's talk to Malik from Mount Airy on line 2. Go ahead, Malik.
Good morning, Word family, Solomon and Kawesa. See, when I think about the media as a whole, I kind of start, my media / how we're portrayed started with Good Times. And James Evans said, listen, I can't keep portraying this coonery on this show. So what do? We kill you. And it shows you that you either lay down and accept how we make you look like like a clown and a fool that's going to stay in the ghetto and can't elevate, or we allow you to become George Jefferson, and the only way you're George Jefferson is you got to act like a coon the whole entire way. You can't be a strong black man and be in the media, because you can, like the brother just said, if you look at how we're portrayed, it's amazing how Michael Jordan was married for 20 plus years to his first wife, yet you rarely saw her in the public. Yet his second wife, who he divorced his first wife to marry, you kind of see her often. Why is that? Because she's a lighter, almost white woman versus the black woman that pretty much made Michael Jordan who he was, who told him, hey, you know what? That them Jumpman sneakers, that's yours. That's your brand. He sued Nike. He got his own brand because of that. Because she was a lawyer. See, a lot of people don't know the media is real ugly. It's real nasty, and it's like it's all called the Associated Press. It's not just Kansas City. It's not L.A. Times. It's not the New York Times. It's not the Philadelphia Daily News. They're all associated together. They all think about. If you think about how they literally Philadelphia broadcast lynching in the Philadelphia Daily News and the Philadelphia Inquirer. How do you know about that if it didn't happen in Philadelphia?
Yeah, I just want to, and Malik, I want to thank you for your call. I want to make a correction. The Associated Press is actually a wire service that delivers content to different papers, and so it's not all one entity. The Associated Press is like a Reuters or like United Press International, where it's a wire service that delivers content to different papers. Let's talk to Sister Murray from University City on line 1. We only got a few seconds, Sister Murray, but I did want to get to you. Go ahead. Is she gone? All right, let's go to break. We're going to go to break. Okay, go ahead, Sister Murray.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking my call, and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you.
Same to you.
Solomon, first I want to say, real quick, Mel will be back. Will Smith owes her. She was blackballed. And I'm going to tell you, she was a beautiful black woman on that show, and they all worked together really well together. So we thought what we saw, but behind the scenes, we see it was much, much different than that. She went to Juilliard. She went to the best school. She didn't have no time to mess around. This woman wanted to make her money and get in there and do the job right. And because he was so young and immature, he did what he did. But he has come back, apologized, literally cried on the show with her, and say, I know he's going to write her a nice check, give her a good job. She's going to be okay at the end of this. And
all right, I want to thank you so much for your call. We do have to go, and I'm sorry, we got to go because we're over our time, so we got to go. Dr. McDonald and Dr. Wardlaw are going to be on the other side. You got questions about this vaccine, about coronavirus, they've got answers. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Jeff Brown from Brown's Family ShopRites and Fresh Grocers. Are you thinking about a part-time job to help out with the cost of the holidays? We have plenty of openings. You can apply online at shoprite.com/careers or freshgrocer.com/careers. Come join the Brown family today and help us serve the people of Philadelphia. Have a great holiday.
Dietz & Watson has been making premium meats and artisan cheeses for over 80 years. And when it comes to stacking sandwiches and party platters, they've got something for everyone in the family, like maple honey turkey breast, American cheese, buffalo chicken, and more. So get to your local deli and taste 4 generations of family recipes. With Dietz & Watson on the table, you'll have everyone coming back for seconds and thirds. Dietz & Watson, it's a family thing since 1939.
Want to buy black for the holidays?
WURD Radio has got you covered. WURD is proud to present our virtual holiday marketplace online. Support local, small, black-owned businesses through the marketplace and purchase your holiday gifts today. Visit wordradio.com/marketplace or wordworks.com/marketplace.
Monday through Thursday, keep it locked to WURD Radio. At 6 a.m., start your day with the Power Hour, hosted by Bishop Dwayne Royster and Reverend Mark Kelly Tyler. At 7, it's Wake Up with WURD with Solomon Jones. At 10 a.m., it's Reality Check with Charles Ellison. Then at 1 p.m., it's The Source, hosted by Andrea Lawful Sanders on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, and the Black Women's Leadership Council on Wednesdays. At 4 p.m., it's Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro. Then at 7, it's Save Space with Sincerely Sarita. At 9 p.m., round up your day with Keeping It Real with the Reverend Al Sharpton. Keep your dial locked to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app. Or watch live on WURD TV via Facebook and YouTube. WURD Radio. Independent Black Media. Now, a traffic update on WURD Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by the Exergen Temporal Scanner 95 northbound near Jam Cotman up to Academy. An accident there. Southbound busy ride. Cotman down through Bridge again. Betsy Ross through Girard. Looking at the westbound Vine Expressway delays. 8th out through Broad. Again, Parkway through the Schuylkill Expressway a bit slow. Schuylkill westbound heavy University through 30th through that construction. Eastbound side not too bad. PA Turnpike Blue Route 476 in pretty good shape there this morning. Looking at 442 northbound between 55 and 295. A little slow there. There is an accident near 295 off to the left. Northbound 55 heavy Deptford into 42. These may be uncertain times, but what is certain is that every family needs a reliable thermometer. Protect your family with the Exergen Temporal Scanner, the only home thermometer used and recommended by hospitals, physicians, and clinics. Stay safe with Exergen. For more traffic information, log on to SIGAlert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
Now, a WURD weather update. Here's NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Crystal Cly.
Good morning. We have a few spotty light showers in the morning moving out, and that leaves us with clouds breaking up by the afternoon and some sunshine returning. 45 degrees is the forecast high temperature for a Tuesday afternoon. Now, tonight we're mostly clear and cold, down to 28 into your Wednesday morning. On Wednesday afternoon, getting up to 43 for a forecast high with increasing clouds, especially in the afternoon. I'm NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Crystal Cly with your most accurate forecast. Count on it.
It's Wake Up with WURD, hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on WURD Radio,
96.1 FM
and 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD, and I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with WURD. As we have done for the last few months, we are going to talk with Dr. Elena McDonald and Dr. Delana Wardlaw. They are both board-certified physicians from North Philadelphia, and they are twins. Doctors, good morning.
Good morning, Solomon.
How are you both?
We are good. How are you?
I'm doing well. So I want to start, Dr. Wardlaw, with you. We've had a lot of questions about the vaccine. We've had a lot of people with some interesting conspiracies around it. We got a question yesterday about allergic reactions. I think it's called anaphylaxis or something like that, like a real strong allergic reaction. Some people have had that. So scientists kind of racing to see what's going on with these allergic reactions to the vaccine. What do we know about that so far?
So we do know that there have been a few people that have had anaphylaxis, which is an extreme reaction when you get severe. It can affect your breathing. It can cause your throat to swell. It can cause a rapid heartbeat. It can cause a weak pulse. It can cause significant nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. So it is a significant reaction that definitely has to be monitored for. However, out of the many of the millions of doses that have been given in the United States thus far, we have only had less than 5 anaphylactic reactions that have allergic reactions. I'm sorry, not anaphylactic, but allergic reactions that have occurred. So, and we do see allergic reactions sometimes with vaccines, and that is why it's important for whoever is given the vaccine to make sure that they ask the person who's receiving it if they've ever had allergies before, if they've ever carried an EpiPen before. And patients should be monitored, anybody who gets the vaccine, for 15 minutes after they get the vaccine, and anybody who reports a previous allergy, whether it's a mild allergy, if it's severe allergy, then there has to be some further discussion with their doctor. They should even continue with the vaccine, but they should be monitored for another 30 minutes. But yes, so we have seen reactions. We do have to be mindful of it, but it is a very, very small portion of the people who have received the vaccine. So the vaccine is still much more beneficial. Again, it's about weighing risk versus benefits.
Okay. And so, Dr. McDonald, I want to ask you this because I did send you this question by text last week around people who have had COVID. I'm assuming that you shouldn't get the vaccine while you are dealing with COVID. Is that right?
So if you have had the question, if you've had COVID, should you get the vaccine? No. Currently, if you have COVID, you should be in isolation. You shouldn't be doing anything. You should be home, getting back to your baseline health.
Right.
As far as people who have had COVID in the past, the question is as well, if I have some immunity, because once you get a virus, your body will build antibodies, which is your immunity. So do I need to get the vaccine now? The conventional thinking is yes, because your natural immunity is what you develop after you get the disease, after you actually have coronavirus. We do not know how long that natural immunity lasts. We don't know if it lasts 60 days, 90 days, a year, 3 years. We just don't know at this point in time. So the conventional thing is yes, you should still get that vaccine if you've had coronavirus in the past. The second thing is that the vaccine triggers a much better response from your immune system than the actual disease. So, yes, if you've had coronavirus in the past, if the vaccine becomes available, the recommendation will be that you should go ahead and get that coronavirus vaccine.
Mm-hmm. Now, there has been, Dr. Wardlaw, a new strain of the coronavirus discovered in Britain. What is it, and what's going on with it now?
So yes, there is a new strain that has been identified. And there have been several strains that have been identified as the coronavirus as we've been going through this phase. The strain has been shown to be this particular strain most recently has been shown to be more infectious, but it has not been shown to be more deadly. So what as we know today, of course, the coronavirus. Information changes every day, but as of the information that we have today, the strain, and it's in England, it's in Australia, it's in Denmark, it's in the Netherlands, so it probably will make its way over here to the U.S. I mean, it's just how things work. So it has mutated, but it has not shown to be more deadly, it's more infectious. This is why we always have to continue to do the basic things of mask wearing, social distancing, and hand washing, and avoiding these gatherings. But it has also, again, it's not more deadly. So, and it has not been shown to develop a resistance to the vaccine. So the vaccines that are available to date have been shown to be still effective against this strain.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question, because the flu vaccine changes a little bit every year, right?
Absolutely. And this is why we have a new vaccine every year. And that may potentially happen with coronavirus. We don't know that just yet, but that could potentially be the case.
Mm-hmm. Dr. McDonald?
No, I was just going to say what you just said, Solomon. We know that the flu strain changes every year, which is why, the flu vaccine is that vaccine that you have to get every year versus a chickenpox vaccine or measles, mumps, rubella vaccine or tetanus vaccine. You don't have to get them every year because we know that strain is not changing every year like that. So what we're seeing with coronavirus is not something that's it's not unique.
Right. Now, Dr. McDonald, I want to stick with you because somebody called about a pandemic exercise that was done last year. I think it was held by the Johns Hopkins Center for Health, and they call it Event 201. And they claim in this conspiracy theory that Event 201 was a precursor to what is happening now. They did an exercise around what would happen if there was a pandemic. Have you heard about that? And if so, what is the general consensus on that in the medical community?
So I have not heard about it, Solomon. So if you give me some time to look into it, I will definitely be able to give you a proper response. So
Okay.
Yes, I have to look into that and get back to you.
Okay, so basically, what they did was they did like a an exercise to say, you know, if there was a pandemic, you know, how many people would get infected, you know, what would happen, are we prepared for that? And that's really what it was. It was to look at our preparedness because again, we've had pandemics before. We've had Ebola. We've had SARS, which is kind of a precursor to what we're dealing with now. We've had, you know, different things that have, you know, been infectious diseases that had to be dealt with. This was sort of an exercise to look at, you know, what our preparedness was for it. And so, Dr. Wardlaw, I'll ask you this. Going forward, now they're talking about frontline workers being the next to get the vaccine. There's a panel that's kind of trying to decide, you know, how we distribute this thing. Who are these frontline workers that they're talking about?
So the frontline workers now are police, firefighters, EMTs, teachers, grocery store employees. In addition, those are the frontline workers, and also patients 75 and older is going to be in this next group as well. So it is important that, again, outside of the healthcare workers, we really start to make sure that there's even distribution of this vaccine, and also making sure that it is equitable distribution, and making sure that it also meets the communities that desperately need it as well.
Mm-hmm. So, Dr. McDonald, in terms of the desire to get people to get vaccinated, why do they want everybody to get vaccinated? Why does that matter?
Because vaccines are no good sitting on the shelf. Vaccines only work if we actually vaccinate people. And the goal is to prevent the spread of this virus, because as of today, we're now over 18 million cases in the U.S., greater than 300,000 deaths. So we want to slow the rate of spread of this virus and ultimately the severe consequences and death that has arisen from this virus. So we've often talked about herd immunity, but herd immunity will not work if the majority of the population don't get the vaccine. We want herd immunity to work by the vaccine, not by death. So that's why it's important for as many people as possible to get this vaccine. Because when you're getting the vaccine, you're not only protecting yourself, you are protecting your family, your friends, your entire community, and that's the only way that we're going to get to the other side of this pandemic.
Mm-hmm. So, Dr. Wardlaw, 1/3 of Black people don't trust it. That's what the surveys say. Is there a reason that Black people should?
Yes, we should. We should. And again, I understand the hesitation and the reservation. However, we can't allow that to prevent us from advancing with science and making sure that we are getting the treatments and the preventions that are available to us. And African Americans are in the room. One of the lead scientists on the Moderna vaccine is Dr. Corbett. She's an African American scientist. We have African Americans who are actively involved in this process. The National Medical Association, who is the Association of African American Doctors, and we have the National Black Nurses Association. We have the Black current clergy that's involved in this process to make sure that things are being done equitably. We're making sure that we also have, there are other groups that are involved, historically Black institutions, Harry College, Howard University, their medical schools are involved, scientists are involved to make sure that African Americans are at the table to make sure that this vaccine is being distributed in an equitable manner, make sure we aren't being used as guinea pigs, as an experiment, and to make sure that we are indeed getting the prevention that is necessary to prevent us from dying at a disproportionate rate. Again, we're dying at a rate of almost 3 times that of Caucasians. So we have to make sure that we take advantage of what is available to us so that we can save ourselves and our communities.
All right. Dr. McDonald, where can people get in touch with the two of you?
You can find us at Twin Sister Docs on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
All right. That is Dr. Elena McDonald, Dr. Delana Wardlaw. They are board-certified physicians, medical doctors who are from North Philadelphia, and they are twins, and they join us every week to talk about what's going on with this virus. I want to thank you both for joining us this morning on WURD.
Thank you for having us, and stay safe.
All right, we'll do. We'll do. We are going to go to break, and on the other side of this break, we are going to continue the show with your calls right here on WURD.
Hi, Philly. I'm City Councilwoman Cindy Bass. As the holidays approach, we've all heard the news. A vaccine for COVID-19 is coming. However, now is not the time to let our guard down. As COVID-19 continues to spread, keep wearing your mask, practice social distancing, and avoid large get-togethers. It'll take time before we all get vaccinated, so until then, keep yourself, your family, and your community safe, and we will get through this pandemic together. Philly, stay safe and stop the spread.
1 month, 25 bold ideas. A more just, equitable, and prosperous Philadelphia. Join speakers like Reverend Michael Eric Dyson, MSNBC anchor Ali Velshi, LAPD Sergeant turned police reformer Cheryl Dorsey, author and poverty fighter Wes Moore, Black Thought of the Roots, and WURD's own Charles Ellison for the Philadelphia Citizens' 3rd annual Ideas We Should Steal Festival. Presented by Comcast NBC Universal, Tuesdays throughout December. Find out more and reserve your spot at thephiladelphiacitizen.org/Ideas We Should Steal Festival. For WURD members, check your email for discounts and complimentary access details.
The onWURD Podcast. Check out the latest edition of the onWURD Podcast. Join WURD President and CEO Sarah Lomax Reese as she hosts a special 4-part series, 2020 in Black. From the pandemic to the global protests against systemic racism to the 2020 election, the onWURD Podcast celebrates the full humanity and complexity of Black people in this pivotal year. Listen right now using your favorite podcast service or visit wordradio.com/2020 in Black. You can also ask your favorite device to play onWURD 2020 in Black.
Wishing you and yours the very best this holiday season from the entire WURD family. This is WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia.
Streaming live on wordradio.com and the WURD Radio app. Progressive and proud.
Independent Black Media. You're waking up
with WURD.
Hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on WURD Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. And I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with WURD. We are, of course, taking your calls at 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. And we are taking your comments on Facebook at 4WURD. That's FORWURD, FORWURD. Kawesa, what are people saying this morning on Facebook?
Well, we do have quite a few folks just weighing in, saying good morning to us. Cheryl Brown, good morning to you. Thank you so much for tuning in. And then trying to pull this up here. We also have Gail Robinson. Hers is kind of long, but she's saying, this morning I've struggled waking up and really looking at a new day for some and a loss for others. Yesterday, my family lost 2 awesome pillars in our family. My 2 cousins, Henry and Sweet Sea, they were married for over 73 years, always together and showed real, genuine, unconditional love to each other. 96 and 98. My cousin's motto, happy wife, happy life. I share this with you because even though my heart hurts, I know they are together because he passed and within hours she followed. Their love story is written and their legacy is formed. May we all be so blessed to have or experience the same in life and after. Have a blessed day to all. Thank you in advance for letting me speak my reality. So I'm so sorry for your loss, Miss Gail, but also thank you so much for sharing that because I think that, a lot of us are taking it hard this year. And so I'm so glad that they had so much time together and that they went together. And so thank you for sharing that.
Yes.
Some other comments that we do have here, folks saying, good morning, Veronica Smith, good morning to you. Phyllis Williams, good morning to you also. And Atia Hicks, thank you so much for checking us out this morning. Regina Neely says, I believe many widespread catastrophes are pre-staged. We are puppets on a worldwide scale. So that's another comment that we have here. And then also Tony Freeman, good morning to you as well. And lastly, we have Vincent Better on as well. So thank you so much all for tuning in to the show this morning.
All right. I want to thank you for those comments this morning. If you want to get in, it's 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. And so I'm going to go to the phone lines. Rita from South Philly's on line 1. Go ahead, Rita.
Good morning, Solomon. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Well, we got a problem here. There's a young man, he's an older man, really, in Chicago. He had a $23,000 to $25,000 bank account with Chase Bank. Some foreign countries broke into the account and took the man's money. Chase is telling him they can't replace the money because he didn't report it in 20 days. Now, let me tell you something, Solomon. Someone who came from a bank, what happened to that man? When them people found out that that money was stolen from a foreign entity overseas, they would put your money back into the account. They wouldn't even say anything to you. That man didn't have the sophistication because he's like the old timers that you see through, so you put your money in the bank, it's safe. Now, here's my question. Everybody should get on the phone and call their bank. When did this change? Because your account was insured up to $100,000 per account. Somebody made some changes, and it had to be the politicians through the Federal Reserve Bank, that you had to report that your money was missing within 20 days. Now, what I'm going to do this morning is call different banks and find out what their policy is.
Well, I have no idea what you're talking about, Rita, because I can't find that story anywhere.
His name is Edward on Channel 6 website. I talked to the reporters. I called them.
You talked to the reporters?
Yes, I called Chicago. That's how I am, Tom. I'm very serious. Okay, this man, you laughing.
I am, because you are funny. But go ahead.
No, but what I'm saying is the man is in trouble.
All right.
Also, we want to get a GoFundMe page set up for that man because that man.
Okay, I just found it. So he lost $23,000.
Exactly.
After waiting to report his stolen money.
Okay, what happened? Okay, let me tell you what happened. I'm not going to say the name of the bank. I am the lady that was on the phone when the man called and $500,000 was missing from his account.
You was there, and you was on the phone.
That's right. I was the first one. I'll tell you who it was. First.
He called you.
The man. I was working.
And he called you because he was missing $500,000. You worked at the bank.
I was working at the bank. I'm the first one who got the call that the money was being stolen from the employees from.
You've been at more historic events than Forrest Gump, Rita. You always was there. Like that's oh my gosh. Go ahead.
Now, if you knew me, you know I am serious. But see, what happened was they put that man's money back into his account. Some people don't check their bank records every 5 minutes.
That's true.
Like that.
That's true.
Now watch this. He said on his deposit slip when he put that money last made a deposit into the bank, he didn't see no amount because they don't put the amount that you have in the bank. What I'm trying to do is save people in your audience some problems. They need to call the bank and find out what their policy is. But here's what I'm saying. Years ago, they would have put that man's money back into his account. They wouldn't even told him somebody had broke into it because they can see on that computer where they broke in through the back end. That's those people over there where, don't ask me why, but they got all these foreign countries listing the stimulus money. We're giving you stimulus money and stuff, and you stealing from our bank account. Does that make sense to you, Solomon?
Yeah, I hear you, Rita, and I want to thank you for your call before we get too far down the rabbit hole. But yeah, I think that it's horrible that they stole a man's $23,000. I'm glad that it's being covered in the media. I have a sense that he's probably going to end up getting his money back. So we'll see. I hope that that's the case. But thank you for alerting us to what happened to one person in Chicago. 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Kawesa, I'm always checking my bank account.
Oh yeah, no, I always know what's in there. Like I'm like, oh, is it a penny? Is a penny missing? Listen, what we got to do to get my penny back? Like I just, I always like at least have some type of knowledge of about how much money I have in there. So I ain't gonna be going up to nobody's bank talking about some $2,300,000. No.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen. It's not gonna be, 20 and 30 days later for me. It's gonna be 20 minutes. It's literally like, what? Nah, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. Mike from North Philly is online too. Go ahead, Mike.
Good morning, Solomon. How you doing today, good brother?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. And for Rita, all you have to do is present your ID and tell them you want to bounce.
Mm-hmm.
Every time you put your money in the bank, that's what I do. Let me see where my money at.
Yep.
I don't want any foolishness.
Yep.
And as far as the media goes, they feel like they have to dumb down our images. The only thing we can be is criminals, entertainers. Remember when they didn't want a black Cinderella? They don't want a black Superman or a James Bond.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And why does every rap song got to have B's and H's, guns, and murder? What happened to Public Enemies and the X-Clans and stuff like that?
Yeah.
And it's crazy because it's said that Napoleon shot the noses off the pharaohs in Egypt because they had black features. That's the reason why their noses are missing like that. And it's crazy. But right here in Philadelphia with the media, you could tell. Look how they doing Carson Wentz now. Oh, we got to build him back up in baby.
I know.
We got to trade Jalen Hurts. This man is balling out. You want to trade the better quarterback.
I know.
Because his white guy got his feelings hurt. You shouldn't have paid him all that money because he's a bum.
Yup. Yeah,
and
he's not the player he was, man.
No.
He's not the player he was. And you're absolutely right. But that conversation wouldn't even be taking place if their colors were reversed. I got to be honest. I don't think it would.
Remember how they did McNabb? They sat McNabb down. They trash McNabb to this day. He's the best quarterback we ever had in this franchise.
Yep.
And Solomon, with the media, and in closing, I'll say, please, media of Philadelphia, when you cover the city, there's more than passing Geno's for cheesesteaks. Thanks for taking my call.
You are so welcome, man. I want to thank you for making that call this morning on WURD. And he's right. He's right. So I want to hear from you, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD. Renee from West Oak Lane is on line 3. Go ahead.
Yeah, good morning, Solomon and Kawisa and WURD staff, everybody. I just want to thank you for having the doctors on there, explaining about COVID. I'm the one that was asking questions, multiple questions over the
about the allergies.
Yes, and I will contact the doctors that you had on. They say you can contact them through Instagram. I'm still puzzled about one thing about the vaccine. They're saying that you still have to wear your mask and have social distancing after you take the vaccine. And I want to ask a question on that. Since they say the vaccine is so effective against you catching it. Also, I get most of my information. You asked me to call back where I get my information from. I get most of it from cbc.gov, or I get it from USA Today or CBS.news. I've been getting information from those sources. Also, my thing is about they said on CBC.gov they say if you take insulin or dialysis or whatever, you need to contact your physician before you take the vaccine. Due to the equation of the mixture of maybe people medication mixed up with that vaccine.
Yeah, well, you know what? We're going to kind of depend on the doctors for our medical information. But I hear you, and I appreciate it. But Kawesa, why do people still have to wear their mask after they get the vaccine?
So the reason is because you're still a carrier, even though you won't get it now that you have the vaccine, or your chances of getting it are much more reduced. You can still be a carrier and infect people who have not gotten the vaccine or who are vulnerable to COVID. So that's why you still have to, wear a mask so that you can reduce the spread, because you can still be a carrier.
Right. And you still got this thing out here. And it's just like young people who get it, they have no symptoms. They have it in their system, and they can give it to older people, and older people can really have problems. So that's one of the reasons.
Okay, so I just wanted to tap in on that. And they also said about, a lot of people have deficiency in vitamins, especially vitamin D. And that vitamin D is a great factor to fighting against diseases and stuff like that.
Yeah, it builds up your immune system.
Right.
It's not a cure, but it builds up your immune system.
Right. They were saying a lot of people need to maybe get that checked out to see whether you have any deficiencies in vitamins, because that's what a lot of people that contracted COVID, they had deficiency in vitamins, especially vitamin D.
Go there, and I want to thank you for your call this morning on WURD. I don't want people to think that vitamin D is a cure, because it's not. I just want to be clear about that. Vitamin D is one of the factors that can help to build up your immune system, right? I just want to be real crystal clear about that. And the other thing I want to be clear about is this: that the best way to build up your immune system is through rest, right? Not necessarily supplements, but rest. And so certainly, you want to make sure you take your vitamins and all of that, but you also want to make sure that you get rest. Tony from North Philly is on line one. Go ahead, Tony.
Hey, good morning, Solomon and Quick Waster. I don't know if y'all mentioned this or not, but did you see Joe Biden getting his flu shot?
I did.
With the sister and the nurse, hair all over her head. She had her butt all in the camera. And the first lady...
I didn't see all that.
Yeah.
I just saw it.
Yeah, the first lady had to tell her, could you move to the side and get it? She acted like she didn't. They made it look real ghetto, man. That's why I tell you something. You got to watch what they portray on TV so for you to see. It's all about images, really Horton effect and everything, man. I just thought that was real strange. All right, thank you.
I didn't see it, man. I just know he got it. He got his back. He got his shot. I didn't think I needed to see it, but now you make me feel like I do. So, Goisa, did you see it?
Yeah, the president and the first lady, and she had her butt all in the camera, and the first lady had to tell her, could you move to the side? And she did, act like she ain't know what she was doing, hair all over her head and everything. I said,
well, maybe that's how she wore her hair, man. Maybe that's how she. Yeah. I gotta see it now. Okay, well, we'll look for it. All right, man. Thank you for your call.
Hey,
all right, thank you for your call this morning on WURD Radio. 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio and let us know where you are on any of these things we're talking about on this morning's show. 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. Goisa, I can see your thoughts. I can see a thought bubble over your head about what he just said. What are you thinking?
I didn't see it. I have no comment. I really don't. Like I just I'll go look it up, see what I can see. But I don't. I know. I don't have any comment. The thought bubble is empty.
Okay.
Empty.
All right. Okay. 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in. Of course, you can also weigh in on Facebook at onWURD and let us know where you are on any of these things we're talking about on this morning show. Goisa, what are they saying this morning on Facebook?
So we do have a couple of comments here. So Kimberly Coleman-Gade, good morning to you. Thanks so much for weighing in. We also have, she's saying, she's, talking about Rita. Okay. So let me go back. Phyllis Williams says, well, there goes our famous detective Rita. She's on the prowl again. And Kimberly Coleman-Gade says, she's Philly's own Sherlock Holmes. Then to top it off, Solomon says, you've been at more historic events than Forrest Gump. I'm on the floor. So that's another comment that we have. Kia Fisher Copeland, good morning to you. Thanks so much for weighing in here and checking us out. And then also A. Malik Stewart, good morning to you also. I think he called in a little bit earlier this morning. So thanks so much for that. And then we also have here Will Mega saying, how can you carry it if you don't have it? I did post an article in the chat that now I am not seeing. anymore, so I don't really know why it's not there, but I will go ahead and post it again so that everybody can see it. It's from the Philadelphia Inquirer, and it just really kind of breaks down the reason why you still need to wear a mask. It was actually updated just yesterday, so I will go ahead and try to post that back in there again because I'm not sure why it didn't post. But yes, it's because you can still be a silent carrier of COVID, so you'll be fine, you're protected. But other people around you who have not been vaccinated are not necessarily protected. So I will post that back in, so then that way folks can see it. But that is my source. There are multiple sources. If you Google it, you'll see it as well. And then also, Casa, who was saying, if you have COVID, you should still get the shot. Are you kidding me? No way. And also, again, we just had the doctors on.
Nobody said that.
Right. But the other thing, though, too, is that at the same time, we just had the twin docs on, and, they talked about the fact that, they don't know how long you have immunity to it. So that's the other piece as well. Like if you had coronavirus, they don't know if it's going to be 3 months. They don't know if it's a year. Like they don't, that the science does not tell us that yet. And so that is why, the recommendation is for if you've had COVID, you should still go ahead and get the vaccination. So, I mean, and this is just what they've been saying. I've been telling folks, even on my end, I'm still kind of indifferent, but at the same time, I'm going to make an educated decision on what I would like to do in regards to getting the vaccine. And so I think that, you need to make sure that you're weighing all the options when you are listening to, the research and the science behind it. So those are our comments. Those are our comments.
All right, so I'm watching the video of the woman giving him the shot, right? Come on, man, ain't nothing wrong with this woman. He talking about she had her butt all in the camera and her hair all over her head. Ain't nothing wrong with this woman. She got a natural hairstyle, and she had her back to the camera for like 3 seconds. Come on, man, stop. 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio and let us know where you are on these various things we're talking about on this morning show. One of the things I'm impressed with about Biden is his wife. His wife ain't playing no games, man. She like a white Michelle Obama, man. She ain't playing no games, man. She like, look, I'm going to be here and see what y'all doing to my husband. She's standing right there, and I appreciate that. It remind me of when the people rushed the stage and Jill Biden jumped in front of them, like pushed them out the way, like, nah, y'all, it ain't going down like that. Like, I appreciate Jill Biden. Have you been watching her, Kawesa?
Yeah, I appreciate her. I mean, I like the fact that they seem real. Like, they seem like the type of people who you could go up to and have a decent conversation with them, and they're not going to be weird. Like, they actually seem like real folks, whereas, like, I would not, want to on purpose go up to the Trumps at all. Like, I wouldn't want to be like, oh, hey, how you doing? Like, I wouldn't even ask. I wouldn't want to know because they don't even look like approachable. But at least they look approachable, But yeah, Dr. Biden, she's not here for play either. She was ready to take that man down too, who was coming for her husband. So I think you got the right one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And Melania kind of reminds me of oh God! So there was a cartoon that was out when I was a kid. I know you've probably seen something about like Bullwinkle. It was a squirrel and Bullwinkle, and it was these Russian spies on it, and one of them was a lady. She got
Boris and what was her name? Natasha.
Yeah,
is that her name?
She kind of reminds me of Natasha a little bit. Y'all check it out. We go check that out. But in the meantime, we got to talk about vaccines and the historical nature of what has happened in the medical industry. And so joining us now are Joyce Tyson Christian and Lily Tyson Head. Their father was one of the men in the Tuskegee experiments. We're going to talk to them in just a couple of minutes. Right now, we're going to go to break. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
This year's been tough, but it's given me a lot of time to learn new skills through the internet.
I've been joining more classes during lockdown.
I'm doing an internship.
I taught myself how to play guitar.
So when people ask,
will I be able to learn online?
I feel like I'm ready.
Internet Essentials from Comcast has connected millions of families from low-income homes to the internet. So no matter what back to school looks like, students can be ready for anything. Learn more at comcast.com/Internet Essentials.
This message is from the Philadelphia Department of Public Health. COVID-19 is still a threat in our communities, but we can all do something simple to help stop the spread. It's critically important to wear a mask or face covering whenever you're in public or around others. Yes, even while social distancing. Wearing a mask shows you care for yourself and your community and is essential to slowing the spread of COVID-19. So love yourself, love your neighbors, wear a mask.
Have you thought about your Christmas Day or New Year's Day dinner? Contact Eatable Delights Catering for one of their scrumptious packages. Call for the fire roasted chestnuts, the Natalie Cole, or the Arizona Special. They can cater for you for as little as 4 people. 215-236-3900 or stop in at 1540 Wadsworth Avenue. Order by December 21st for pickup and order for delivery by December 24th and December 25th. That's 215-236-3900.
WURD Radio presents the following wellness tip to support our listeners with mindfulness and motivation as we continue to navigate the pandemic together.
Hi, this is Halana, your resident health and wellness coach with tips to help you stay well. Let's talk about eating mindfully. Often we are rushing from moment to moment and we hurry through our eating like it's checking off an item on our to-do list. Each day for each meal, let's commit to doing these 3 simple things to activate our mindful eating experience. Number 1, slow down. Number 2, eat while you're sitting down. And number 3, chew each bite 20 to 30 times. You can do it. Eating mindfully is something we can all do to support our overall health and digestion. Go ahead and try it for your next meal today. Stay well with WURD. Happy living.
Stay well with WURD. Connect with us at wordradio.com. Now, a traffic update on WURD Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by Merrill. Looking at the delays we have on I-95 in Philadelphia, southbound side, busy Common down through Girard, generally heavy there. Northbound side near Academy, a little slow there. An accident is off to the left. Vine Expressway westbound, that slows. 95 to Broadigan Parkway through the Schuylkill Expressway. Schuylkill westbound, jamming University through 30th through Construction. Eastbound side, delays Montgomery through Spring Garden. 55 northbound, some slowing still. Deptford in the 42 northbound, slowing between 55 and 295. An accident there is off to the shoulder. When questions find you, Merrill Edge Self-Directed Investing has personalized tools and insights to help you find answers. Get started at merrilledge.com/withinreach. Merrill Lynch, Pierce, Fenner & Smith Incorporated, registered broker-dealer, member SIPC. For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
Now, a WURD weather update. Here's NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Crystal Cly.
Good morning. We're looking at some spotty showers in the morning, drying out quickly, and that leaves us with sunshine breaking through in the afternoon. The forecast temperature gets up to 45 degrees, and it could be a bit breezy as well. Tonight, dropping down to 28 for the low into your Wednesday morning. In the afternoon Wednesday, 43 for high with increasing clouds. I'm NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Crystal Cly with your most accurate forecast. Count on it.
It's Wake Up with WURD, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on WURD Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. I'd like to welcome Lily Tyson Head. She's the president of Voices for Our Fathers Legacy Foundation. She's joined by her sister, Joyce Tyson Christian, who serves as assistant secretary. Voices for Our Fathers Legacy Foundation consists of descendants of the 623 men who were unethically and immorally treated in the United States Public Health Service's syphilis experiment in Tuskegee. Ladies, I want to welcome you to the show. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
We're doing fine down here in Tennessee.
All right. All right. Well, glad to talk to y'all in Tennessee. I was down in Memphis last year. Beautiful place.
Yeah, it is.
Mhm.
My sister Lily is in Virginia.
Lily, you're in Virginia?
Yes, I am Virginia, and I want to thank you for having us to give voice to the 623 men who were unethically treated and victimized by the United States Public Health Service.
So I want to thank you both for joining us. So Lily, I'll start with you. Your father was Freddie Lee Tyson. Tell us about your father.
My father was our hero. I will say our family hero. And he was a man of character and of dignity. He was a carpenter by trade. He was born in Macon County, Alabama, in the Little Texas community. My father was a sharecropper, which he was recruited in the program deceitfully, and then he went on to work for the United States Forest Service, helping to build a forest in Tuskegee. From there, he went to Moulton Field, where the Tuskegee Airmen were trained. He helped to build the barracks there at the air base. And then from there, after the base was built, he became a fireman and remained a fireman there at Moulton Field until the base closed. And after that, he worked as a carpenter around Tuskegee, but during those times, it was very difficult to have steady employment. He would travel from to different states to work on seasonal jobs. And then finally, in 1960, he moved to Connecticut, and that's where we resided until his death. And some of his children retired and moved to other places. He was honest. He was a leader in his community. He was a leader in his church. And he was well respected by all those who had come in contact with him, and his extended family loved him dearly. And he did not deserve, along with all of those other men, they were wonderful men, loving men, and they deserved better.
Yeah. Joyce, how did your father get recruited into these experiments?
Well, he got recruited by being one of the sharecroppers, actually, when they recruited him. He volunteered because they offered health services and some food and a little bit of money. So it was something, all of them needed because they weren't making anything from doing the work that they were doing in sharecropping. And so, he took it in faith that things were going to be better for him.
And so, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to add on the add to that. In volunteering, that was under deception, so I don't think he would have done that. Also, because if you're told that you have a health condition and that you were going to be treated, I don't think anyone would deny having that opportunity to do that. They were told that they had bad blood and that the doctors were going to treat them for that bad blood and make them better. And I think that was the most thing that caught their attention and wanted to do better. And like all of us now, we want better health care. We want to be better. And even we're looking for a better way to cure the COVID-19 virus. We're looking for better ways. So that's important for us to realize, and how they could have been fooled into doing something like this.
Hmm. So when he was told he had bad blood, who told him that, and how did he originally get to the doctor's office for them to even tell him that?
Well,
Joyce.
He didn't. Okay, he was actually when they recruited them, the men, they took blood, and then they were told they had bad blood. And of course, you know that bad blood consisted of several ailments at that time. It was syphilis, it could have been anemia, it could have been anything. So they were just told bad blood. They weren't told what they had. And so they started treating them. And I know my sister had told me, I'm younger than she is, so about 4.5 years younger than she is. And she told me that Dad actually was told by my grandmother on my mother's side, that she knew she was a midwife, and she worked in the community, so she delivered a lot of the big babies around in the community. And she heard about the study, and she told my dad to get out of the study and go to the doctor. And that's how he got out of the study. But my dad had congenital syphilis. He got that from his mother. It was passed on from his mother.
Okay. So I'm sorry.
Excuse me. I just like to follow up on a couple of things. First of all, they weren't at the doctor's office. They were recruited in the fields of the places where they were sharecropping or on their own farmland. And then that's another misnomer. A lot of people think all of the men were sharecroppers. They were not. Some of the men owned their own land, but they were in rural Macon County when they did that. So the recruitment, they went out in the Macon County community and recruited those men from different locations such as churches, schools, even in the fields where they were working. So it was throughout Macon County.
Mm-hmm. So I want to try to ask you guys questions one at a time so the listeners don't get confused and know who's speaking, and we can kind of get the information out. So that's why I'm so Lily, let me ask you this. Once he was recruited, how long did he stay in this experiment, and what happened while he was in it?
Okay, I was not alive when he was recruited into the study. That was in 1932, and I was born in 1944. So you had a good difference of time. So I cannot speak to what he did during those years. I can only speak to what I found out after everyone in the world found out that this so-called study had been going on.
Yes.
And I can remember as far back, I would say in the 50s, when I was able to be aware of what my father was doing and where he was going. I did not know of any time that he went to have his blood drawn or to be used in that study. So I don't know about that. I can only speak to the fact of what he told us about how they would come and where he was recruited, and he was never sick a day in his life that I can remember, and he was I would say dumbfounded, angry, and shamed when he found out about it. And I was there when when my brother called and asked him about the study, and then when the CDC called him and told him that he was in the study.
Mm-hmm. So, based on what he told you, what can you tell us about how that happened?
As the story goes, that was correct. They were asked to give their blood to see if they had this so-called bad blood, and they received and they agreed to do that because all of the men in the community, well, not all, but some of the men in the community decided to go ahead and do it because they believed and trusted in what the doctors were saying. So he did that. After he did that, he did it for a period of years. And as my sister Joyce has said, that my grandmother was aware of things that were happening more so in the community than my father was, and she advised him not to continue to give his blood, and she recommended him to go to the doctor that she worked with in her deliveries of babies and have him to test him and to treat him if there was any need to be treatment. So that was done. Now, my father, because of the unknown participation in the study, he never knew anything about the study. But he did tell us that a lot of the men in his community, they were very sick and they suffered a lot. And he had been asked to go to Birmingham also at one time to be treated in Birmingham, but he refused because he said he had a young wife and he had 2 young children, so he refused to go to that.
So he had congenital syphilis. Did they infect him with syphilis?
No. And that's the big misnomer. The men, as far as we have found out and researched, and according to all of the researchers in that study, they said that no, they did not infect any of the men with the virus. It was pretty well known, but that a lot of people had syphilis in that area, but not only in that area. See, that's another misnomer. Syphilis was rampant in a lot of places. So that's why they told them that. And I also want to...
Okay, so we got to get ready to end this, but I do want to ask this question. As far as COVID-19 is concerned, a lot of people are looking at what's happening with this vaccine in the black community, and they're pointing back to the Tuskegee experiments and saying that, look, we don't trust the medical community, and we are not going to take this vaccine because of what happened in the Tuskegee experiments and some other things. Joyce, let me ask you this. What is your view on that?
Okay, I'm glad you asked me because I'm a nurse. I'm a registered nurse. I retired from nursing for 43 years. And my take on the vaccine, this is different from our father's encounter, okay? He was supposed to have been treated when the penicillin came out in 1947 with penicillin, and all those men that were supposed to have been treated. But this is a vaccine, and a vaccine is like a flu vaccine, swine vaccine, and I was in that particular area in school nursing with the swine flu vaccine. I don't know if you remember it, in 2009.
I do.
And it didn't really affect the older generation, but it affected the younger generation. So we did a massive school-wide vaccination of those kids, and it worked. Now we have the COVID, and I do believe that we need to get on board. Our brothers and sisters out there are suffering. We've had over 315,000 deaths. I researched, and with the CDC cases and data surveillances, it shows that 2.8 more times deaths for our brothers and sisters, our black and African-American brothers and sisters, 2.8 higher for Hispanics, and 2.6 for American and Native American Indians. And so we are, disproportionately, if we're hospitalized, we're going to die more. So therefore,
I'm gonna put you on hold. I want you guys to come back on the other side. We got to go to break, but I want you to come back on the other side so we can finish telling your story. I think it's fascinating. I'm Solomon Jones. This is WURD. We'll be right back.
Man, this coronavirus has us all moving differently.
No doubt. Like washing our hands more and social distancing with the crew. I'm always telling people to give me 6 feet. We're here, Grandmom.
There's my babies. Good to see you got your mask on.
Wear mask. Stop the spread. For more information, visit www.pa.gov/COVID.
Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
JD's Auto Body and Painting is hiring talent for the following positions. Assembler, preferably 2 to 3 years experience, able to tear down and reassemble all make and model cars. Painter, must have at least 5 years overall painting experience, including experience in water-based paint and able to prep cars for paint jobs. Auto Body Technician, looking for an A or B technician, must have at least 5 years experience repairing cars. Please send your resume to JD's Auto Body and Painting at Comcast.net. That's JDS Auto Body and Painting at Comcast.net or call 215-848-5949 for more details. JD's Auto Body and Painting is an equal opportunity employer.
The WURD Radio newsletter, keeping you informed, engaged, and connected. Sign up by visiting WURDradio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page and type your email address under Connect with Us. You'll receive the latest information on WURD Radio, messages from our president and CEO, Sarah Lomax Reese, exclusive articles and multimedia content, and resources. Stay informed with the WURD Radio newsletter.
WURD Radio would like to thank everyone who made our 2020 Empowerment Experience a tremendous success. Special thanks to our sponsors, PICO, Keystone First, the Pennsylvania Lottery, Einstein Healthcare Network, TML Communications, and Dedicated Senior Medical Center. Thank you to all of the guests, hosts, participants, staff, and listeners who helped us to honor radio icon Cody Anderson. For more information on the 2020 Empowerment Experience and for on-demand content, visit WURDradio.com.
It's Wake Up with WURD, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM
and 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. We're having some technical difficulties, but we are back, and I want to thank you for your patience. We are, of course, talking with Lily Tyson Head and Joyce Tyson Christian. They are from the Voices for Our Fathers Legacy Foundation, and we're talking about the Tuskegee experiments that took place from 1932 to 1972. Their father, Freddie Lee Tyson, was part of those experiments. And so, Lily Tyson Head, I want to ask you this. So you said that your father had already had congenital syphilis, and they did not infect him with syphilis. However, they did not treat him for the syphilis, and that was part of what was happening in those experiments. Can you explain that for us?
They did not treat any of the men for the syphilis. They told them that's what they were doing. They did not. And I would imagine that as doctors and scientists, if they knew what my father had, if it was congenital, they knew that they did not need to treat those men with congenital syphilis. And I also like to point out that about 60% of the men in this study had congenital syphilis anyway. But the ones who had it, they were not giving any type of treatment for that. So I would say they knew what they were doing. They knew the men who had it. They knew the men who did not have it. And they also had a control group of men who were in the study. About 399 was in the, not the control group, but the non-control group. So they would not treat the men who had it because the whole purpose of the study from the very beginning was to see how syphilis, untreated syphilis, in the Negro man would be. And they wanted to wait until the men died so that they could do the autopsy to see how it affected the organs of the Negro man. And that, in the first place, was cruel and inhumane because it was already known how syphilis affected the human body from the Oslo study that was done. So it's really very disturbing that happened to the men, and there was such a so-called study that existed. I also want to bring out something that we are correcting, and the purpose of the foundation is to seek for more answers that we as the descendants would like to know, but also to change the narrative of the United States Public Health Service syphilis study at Tuskegee and Macon County, Alabama. We want to change that narrative and uplift the legacies of those men and their lives. So as you refer to the Tuskegee syphilis study, that was the name that was given in the beginning, Tuskegee experiment. And as the authors of different books and so forth, they continued that name. So that's why it's so well known. But the correct name of that study, and we are trying to change that so that it is called its right name, which is the United States Public Health Service syphilis study at Tuskegee and Macon County, Alabama. And the reason Macon County is added to that is because that's where the men were recruited from, in the rural areas of Macon County. They were poor, and they were not formally educated, and they were vulnerable to such a study.
All right. So, so going forward, and Joyce Tyson Christian, of course, we were asking about how first of all, how this thing turned out for your father, and then how it relates to what's happening now. We were talking about the COVID vaccine. So please continue.
Okay, I was saying that the syphilis study that was done, there was penicillin available in 1947, which this was about, I guess, 15 or so years after the study had started. They had been treating them with mercury, and that was really cruel. But we have the vaccine now for COVID, which I do believe will be very beneficial for our brothers and sisters out there that are so at high risk for getting COVID. And we have a lot of factors there, underlying factors. We have socioeconomic injustice, we have health disparities, we have educational problems, and I'm so happy I did read about you all having doctors on the air to talk about COVID and to bring up information about COVID and to give correct and truthful information, which our brothers and sisters need this type of information to make an informed decision. They were not given this opportunity with my father in the study, the syphilis study. They weren't given it. They didn't have an internal review board as they do with the COVID vaccine that they have. And it's been extensively reviewed, top scientists. So, I just have a lot of trust in what they're doing. And I think that is the word trust that we're grappling with in our own minds as to should I take it or shouldn't I take it. And my daughter has taken it. She's a frontline worker. And, most of our brothers and sisters out there are in service-related jobs. And they're frontline jobs. They're in sanitation. They're in the hospital maintenance. All of those, they're directly affected. So we need to protect ourselves. We need to get on board and do what we can. Like we got on board to make a vote for a change in our administration. We can get on board and make a change in the way our people are dying. And I think that's very important that we recognize that and see the good, the light that has come through this dark tunnel of 9 months. And we need to have it so that we can get on with doing God's work. So that's my feeling. And if I have the chance, when my turn comes up, I will gladly step out there and take it. My daughter is doing fine. She's here with us now. She drove from New Jersey here, and we're just celebrating the fact that she's gotten the first shot and will get the second shot in 21 days.
All right. All right. Well, I want to thank you both, and I do want to ask very quickly. We got 30 seconds. What would you like to see in terms of justice for your father? Lily, I'll ask you that question. You got 30 seconds.
For justice, not only for my father, because when I think of all of those men, and so many of them I knew personally, and I also had other relatives who were in the study. So it's not just for my father. The justice for my father is that their stories be told, because the whole story and all of the questions about the studies have not been answered. So justice to me would to be allow those men voices to be told and to be heard, and their untold stories to be told, and also to encourage everyone not to never allow any type of study like this to ever happen again anywhere, in the world.
All right. We got to end it there. That's Lily Tyson Head, her sister Joyce Tyson Christian. They're the daughters of Freddie Lee Tyson, one of the men who was experimented upon by the United States Public Health Service in a syphilis study that took place in Tuskegee, Alabama. I want to thank you both for joining us this morning on WURD.
Well,
thank you
so
for having
much.
us
We
and
appreciate
getting the
it,
word
and
out.
we hope that we have been a little informative about the study, because there's so much more that we have not been said and really needs to be said. So I encourage everyone to check our website out, voicesforfathers.org, and read as much as they can about the study, and that will help them also, I think, to have an informed, they will be more informed about the vaccine.
All right. I want to thank you both for joining us this morning. We got to go to break. On the other side, it's Roxanne Jones. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Pico has many ways to help you lower your energy usage and save money at home. Here's one. If your heating and cooling system is more than 20 years old, it may be time for your contractor to replace it with a high-efficiency Energy Star certified model. You'll get a rebate from Pico and save on your monthly electric bill. You'll find a list of new heating and cooling system rebates at pico.com/rebates. Or you can call 1-888-5-PICO-SAVE for all the details. Plus, find instant discounts on smart thermostats and more at pico.com/marketplace. There's free shipping on orders over $49.
Hi, my name is Councilman Bobby Heenan. As the holidays approach, we've all heard the news. A vaccination for COVID-19 is coming, but it's going to take some time before we are all vaccinated. So do not let your guard down. We all know someone who got sick with COVID-19, so keep wearing your mask, practice social distancing, avoid large get-togethers, keep yourself, your family, and your community safe. We will get through this pandemic together. Stay safe and stop the spread.
The onWURD Podcast. Check out the onWURD 2020 in Black podcast series. Available now on your favorite podcast app or visit wordradio.com/2020 in black. You can also ask your favorite device to play onWURD 2020 in Black. Wishing you and yours the very best this holiday season from the entire WURD family. This is WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia.
Streaming live on WURDRadio.com and the WURD Radio app. Progressive and proud.
Independent Black Media. It's Wake Up with WURD, hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on WURD Radio,
96.1 FM
and 900 AM WURD.
This is a continuation of the mistreatment of black women in the United States. When I think of Black Lives Matter, I'm not just thinking of police brutality. I'm thinking about a whole law enforcement system screaming for reform. You can't tell me he didn't know something, and even if he didn't, he should have.
And now, Roxanne Jones, live on Wake Up with WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. I want to welcome you back. Joining us now is Roxanne Jones. She's a former VP at ESPN, CNN opinion writer, Emmy-nominated producer, co-author of Say It Loud, an illustrated history of the black athlete, and CEO of the Push Marketing Group, a media strategy firm. Roxanne, good morning.
Good morning, Solomon. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I love the interview with the sisters.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah,
they were deep, very informative. That was crazy. Can you imagine?
Yeah, no, I can't. And I've never really heard from, not audio anyway, any families in the Tuskegee experiment.
Yeah.
So I loved hearing from them. And also, it reminded me of my sister and I, how we bicker when we're telling stories.
Oh my.
Can
y'all just let each other?
Right. I'm the first one to say, you weren't even born. That's not what. Oh, my goodness. So that was this is what you're going to look like.
Mm-hmm. Black sisterhood. There it is.
Yes, there we go. But thank you. That was so informative. And, made me think about how I'm thinking about the vaccine.
Yeah.
Especially hearing from the nurse sister.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think just critically important. So thank you, Roxanne. And we've been talking a lot this year about police violence and black people. And there's a new study out in the Journal of Pediatrics that says that black children were 6 times more likely to be shot to death by the police than their white peers. The study also found that it was 3 times more likely for Hispanic children to be shot to death than their white counterparts. As a parent, what do you think when you see those numbers, and what do you think we should do?
Well, Solomon, because you're a parent too, it's all a nightmare.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare. I mean, the being a mother is my greatest joy, but also I've never had one day of complete peace. And with boys, worrying about from the moment they step outside the door.
Yeah.
And it's not, we know the world is, sometimes mean. We've always lived in cities, Brooklyn and Philly, but just worried about like state violence, police killing them, shooting them, harassing them, beating them up, So, of course, it just adds to the nightmare. You hear the numbers, it adds to the nightmare, but we can, even without the numbers, we see that in our communities.
Yeah.
We see it. So I know the study said 6 times more likely for young black boys, but as far as I'm concerned, I know more than 1 in 6 black men who have been harassed and or families killed by the police, right? So I think we feel those numbers. And I think what we can do is what we've been doing, in these last, I'll just speak just recent history, things like Black Lives Matter and activists and challenging systemic racism in law enforcement and voting for candidates, whether it's Lucy Bath or Cori Bush or others who we believe will make real reforms in criminal justice that will make police accountable. Of course, anybody who commits murder, just like, should be in jail for life, should face the law to the harshest extent.
Yeah.
And so I think that we are challenging the system and we are making changes. As far as being a mother, all we can do, we know we can't protect our kids 24/7, right? So my kids are grown, like in their 20s, early 20s, and every time, especially they get in the car or walk, I'm still scared. I'm still like, call me when you get there. But, Mom, call me on the road. They recently did a road trip together, like a 10-hour road trip. And, I was like, oh, Lord, on my knees, like, just please, like, don't stop. Don't go to the gas station that's not, like, on the immediate rest stop.
Yeah.
Lock your doors all the time if you sit in the car and eat fast food, like all of that stuff. It's 2020, 2021. So, that's, I mean, what can we do? We try to protect them and give them information. I no longer go through the outdated, I think, conversation about, be calm when the police come, keep your hands on the wheel, because they kill us anyway. They kill us anyway. And, like just common sense, like just general, police stop me, I'm going to give them my license. I'm not going to argue with them. I try not to, although I have done that too, because in the moment when your rights are being taken away, you have a human reaction to that. But, so that's what we can do. We have to use our voices, every single one of us, to not just sit back and be afraid, and to allow this to go unchecked generation after generation, but we have to be out there, actively working toward change in any way we can.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to talk a little bit about sports. I want to shift gears a little bit. First, I got to ask you, okay, you got week 2 of Jalen Hurts. I got to ask you about that. I got to ask you about that, Roxanne. All right.
Listen,
what do you think?
I told you I'm with Hurts all the way, and I'm becoming very, offended, not surprised, but offended with all of this coddling of Wentz, right?
Yeah.
Because we all know if he was black and nobody talking about his feelings are hurt and he's mad and he's going to go away, like let him take his money and leave. Let him take his money. You know, because the team is not going to move forward with him. And so, and I think it does, you know, the players can't really speak out of turn, but, you know, I think it does harm to Hurts. Just let the young man get in there. The team is rallying around him.
Yeah.
He knows it's a bunch of malarkey. I mean, he knows how he felt. Like, man, if I was in there, I know I could do this. You know,
right?
They're thinking that. Like, look at this trash. Like, let me get in. Let me get in. You know how I remember playing sports, like, Coach, put me in. Put me in. I got it. So, you know, I think the hand-wringing will go on because generally media, which we know, white men, are empathetic beyond reason with women and making excuses for him and how we should feel sorry for him and how you're going to feel sorry for somebody who, even in a worst-case scenario, leaves with about $30 million guaranteed.
That's what I'm saying. He going to be all right.
Yeah, and we know these white quarterbacks, he will be a backup quarterback or maybe even get a chance to start someplace until he's 100 years old. Because that's how they get it, right? I mean, that's how they get it. That's not going to happen for Hurts or anybody else. It doesn't happen for black quarterbacks. So, I mean, let him move on. His day is done. His confidence is shot. The team's confidence in him is shot.
Yeah.
You know, it was a bad investment. Cut your losses and try to move on from this. And stop messing around with Hurts. Let the young man play. They should be lifting him up. Like, that's, you know, he's the one who needs support now.
Yeah.
You know,
very
and
true.
In a right frame of mind. And, you know, he's trying to do something. He's young. He's trying to do something that, you know, lift up this team, try to get them through this junky conference. So let the man work.
That's right. I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. So I want to talk about the NBA too, though, because the NBA is getting ready to kick off another season. And people are challenging them on starting another season while COVID is raging. How would you rate the NBA's efforts to keep players and staff safe during the last season? And what does the NBA and sports in general need to do during this time?
Well, I think last season the NBA was a model, right? I was very suspicious at first, but then when they went into the bubble, including I had friends who were NBA reporters, and they were in the bubble too. Like it was, they were on lockdown. And I think that was, if you're going to do it, then that's the way to do it. Now, there were some critiques, harsh critiques of them. How did they get the tests when other people did, hospitals and other healthcare professionals didn't have them? So, you know, we know that that's money talks.
That's right.
So that was fine. They're not doing that this season. So I do feel like, you know, at some point capitalism is going to win out, but I feel like it's a bit irresponsible. You know, I'm just hoping that they don't open up the arenas to fans.
Yeah.
You know, because as you just said, even though people might be vaccinated,
right,
you still are silent carriers spreading it around to everybody else. And what worse scenario than an arena full of people cheering and huffing and puffing and sitting
no
on top
windows,
of each other, no windows, circulated air. So I, you know, I'm really. Now, it really depends on how they roll it out, like no fans in the arena, you know, as many other sports around the world continue to do. And, you know, safety measures, I'm not sure, because then you're traveling to hotels and I think it's a super spreader event. And I think that it's arrogant to be acting like, because there's a couple of vaccines that are finally, you know, being initiated, that we're out of the woods. So I don't think it's a good look at all for the NBA to start up their season, as much as I want to see sports return. But just going back to sports as they were played pre-pandemic, I think is a big mistake.
So we'll see, because the NBA, I think you're right. They did turn out to be a great model for how to do that, how to do it, and do it as safely as they could with the bubble, you know. So, you know, with them doing it differently this time, we'll see. And we'll see how the vaccine plays a role in how safe this actually is. So we'll be watching that carefully. Right. I want to get to one more story, though. Kelly Loeffler, I call her Kelly Loeffler. Some people say Loeffler. She is a Republican candidate for the U.S. Senate in Georgia. And she spoke against the WNBA supporting Black Lives Matter. She's a partial owner of one of the teams, in fact, in Atlanta. You wrote about that a while ago. And she is now, of course, attacking the black candidate, Raphael Warnock, who's running, and really focusing her fire on him. Do you think that black voters will remember Kelly Loeffler and her whole thing with the WNBA and Black Lives Matter? Do you think black voters are going to remember that come January?
Absolutely. I think I have family in Georgia, in Atlanta specifically, and there is no doubt that they are focused, laser focused on Kelly Loeffler and how racist and just ludicrous her politics are. I have no doubt. Now, remember, Georgia voters are fired up. Stacey's down there. She's not letting anybody. Stacey and many, many others are down there. And so voters have front and center. Most of my family down there, they've already voted. They're not even fooling around because, again, Kemp, their governor, is trying to put in place all of these voter restrictions. You know, it's not getting national coverage anymore because it's not, you know, the presidential election, but the same underhanded stuff, voter suppression that went on during Stacey Abrams' run and again during Trump's loss there is still going on now without the national spotlight. So I know that black voters are fired up and ready to get rid of Loeffler. And I will say without any hesitation, I have already given to Warnock's campaign.
Oh, as have
I gave from out of state. Like, I'm not even playing around with any, don't be biased, you're a journalist. No, he has my money. And I'm about to give him some more, even if it's just $5, because I realize the significance of that. And so, I think that, you know, it might be I think, according to the political people that I've spoken to and the people on the ground who are organizing, getting black voters specifically and Democrats out to vote in Georgia, they're feeling good about Loeffler's loss, you know, that like she'll be gone, but we'll have to see. We have to see because, as you know, it's never, to me, when you're talking right now today about voting, it is always about voter suppression. Like, how many votes are they going to kick out? Like, remember the way we saw Stacey Abrams lose. Even in the national election, we don't talk about it a lot, but there are still lawsuits going on to get hundreds of thousands of black votes counted from the Trump election that were thrown out over some voter suppression laws. People are still in court arguing these cases. And so just because Biden won does not mean that voter suppression was not rampant and that many of us had our votes stolen. So I think we should keep our eyes on Georgia. And I do feel good about the teams that they have down there, making sure, trying to monitor this election. It's not enough, but we are there. And I think that if we, you know, just keep focused on it, we can at least get Warnock in. I can't. Ossoff, I'm not really sure of because I'm not familiar with him as much. But because I think we also have to be strategic and not get caught up in every Democrat is a good Democrat and is going to be fighting for black folks.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, I think if you're on the books already, we've seen your work in the community like Warnock. We know what you're about. Right. We're satisfied with your agenda. You're you know, like you've been down with many of the issues that we critically need reform in this country, black folks, then okay, you got my attention, and if I like what you're saying, my vote. But if you're just jumping on somebody's bandwagon, especially if you're white, I'm sorry, but you know, my confidence level in white politicians is very, very low, especially Johnny-come-latelys, and so I'm not really sure. I can't testify for anybody who I'm not familiar with.
Yeah, so I think for me, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think for me, the importance of Warnock is apparent. The importance of Ossoff is more of a big picture. thing for me, because if you have the Republicans in charge of the Senate, man, they can wreak havoc and do all kinds of mischief, and that's what they're going to do. So, you know, my support of him is about the big picture, but my support of Warnock, to your point, is about his work and his presence, his long-term presence in the community, man, and being about black folks. So I agree with you wholeheartedly on both. So thank you, Roxanne. As always, that, of course, is Roxanne Jones. Roxanne Jones is a CNN commentator, as well as the owner of her own media firm, Push Marketing Group. And she is the co-author of Say It Loud, An Illustrated History of the Black Athlete, a former VP at ESPN. Roxanne, thanks so much.
Thank you, Solomon. Have a good week.
All right. Have a Merry Christmas, too.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank
I'll
you.
talk to you next week.
Talk to you next week. We're going to go to break. On the other side, it's Mike Kuckelman. He is a lawyer representing Lionel Womack, the man who was run over by a police car in Kansas. Wait until you hear this. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
COVID-19 affected many things this year, including regular vaccinations. Vaccines are safe, effective, and protect against serious diseases. Make sure you and your family are up to date on all vaccinations. Together, we can keep each other safe and healthy. Let's stay protected together. Get vaccinated today. For more information, visit health.pa.gov. Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
Listen to Laborers Live. We created the weekend. We created the 40-hour work week. We just want enough to feed our family, be able to send our children to college, and let our next generation do better than we did.
To people that might have forgot how important unionism is in a country like the United States. People now infringing on our 8-hour workday, trying to work people more than 8 hours without overtime, trying to work people without benefits. In the long run, everybody's getting fat paycheck except the worker. So this is really a wake-up call for America.
The struggle is continuous. Tune in to Laborers Live every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. Sponsored by LESIT, the Laborers Employers Cooperation Education Trust of the Laborers District Council of Philadelphia and vicinity.
Local 332, Sam Staten Jr. Business Manager. Local 57, Esteban Vera Business Manager. Local 135, Dan Woodall Jr. Business Manager. Local 413, James Harper Jr. Business Manager. The Laborers District Council, Ryan Boyer Business Manager, and Tony Staten, Executive Director of LESIT.
Livelihood, the new initiative from WURD Radio, connecting Philadelphians to jobs, entrepreneurship opportunities, small business resources, and financial literacy. Visit WURDworks.com right now and take the next step in your professional journey.
Work, 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 work. To me, I be work.
Livelihood is supported by the Nightland Fest's Local News Transformation Fund, Borealis Philanthropies Racial Equity and Journalism Fund, and the Solutions Journalism Network. WURD Radio presents the following wellness tip to support our listeners with mindfulness and motivation as we continue to navigate the pandemic together.
Hi, this is Halana, your resident health and wellness coach with tips to help you stay well. Let's talk about eating mindfully. Often we are rushing from moment to moment and we hurry through our eating like it's checking off an item on our to-do list. Each day for each meal, let's commit to doing these 3 simple things to activate our mindful eating experience. Number 1, slow down. Number 2, eat while you're sitting down. And number 3, chew each bite 20 to 30 times. You can do it. Eating mindfully is something we can all do to support our overall health and digestion. Go ahead and try it for your next meal today. Stay well with WURD. Happy living.
Stay well with WURD. Connect with us at WURDradio.com. You're waking up
with WURD.
Hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on WURD Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with WURD. Joining us now is Mike Kuckelman. He is a founding member of the firm Kuckelman, Torlin, and Kirkland. He joins us to talk about the case of Lionel Womack, who was injured after being run over by a police car. Mr. Kokelman, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
So what happened with your client, Lionel Womack?
Yes, so in central, kind of west central Kansas, a sheriff's patrolman made a traffic stop of Lionel Womack. Mr. Womack is a former detective with the Kansas City, Kansas Police Department. After the stop was made, Mr. Womack was nervous and he took off running, which, you know, he agrees that he shouldn't have run, but it was just a traffic stop and he was nervous about the stop. He ran into an open field. Again, this is very rural Kansas, so you can see for miles. It's a flat plain out there. There's nowhere to go. They chased him in a sheriff's patrol truck through the field. He was on foot. They were in a patrol truck. You could see his hands the entire time. He did not have a shirt on. This was back in August. It was hot. But as they chased him through that open field, you can see that he's no threat to an officer or anyone around him. And for some unknown reason, the deputy sheriff, Rodriguez, took his truck and veered right into Mr. Womack, knocking him to the ground and drove over him.
So, okay, I guess the part, there's a couple of parts of this that I don't understand, and maybe you can help me with it. Why didn't your client have a shirt? Did he have on an undershirt? He didn't have on any shirt? Like,
no,
why didn't he have a shirt on?
I'm not sure why he didn't have a shirt on. It's Kansas, and, you know, in western Kansas in August, it's really hot at that time of the year. So, you know, some people, if they're not using the air conditioning in their car, they are without a shirt. But this is wide open out there. He was on the highway. He wasn't around anyone. I'm sure if he was going in a store or something, he'd put his shirt back on. But people do go without shirts in the heat of August. But there's no particular reason he didn't have a shirt on, and nothing to do with why they ran over him. The important part is, to use deadly force, which is what they used, an officer has to have a reasonable belief that the person that they're trying to apprehend is a threat to the officer's life or a threat to someone's life, other person, another officer, another bystander. And the point was, with no shirt, you can see that he doesn't have a gun in his or a weapon of any sort in his waistband. You can see his hands as he's running, and he's running away from the officer. So it's clear he's not armed. There's no reason to believe that he is a deadly threat to anyone. So under no circumstances was it appropriate to use deadly force against Mr. Womack out in that field.
So the other question I have is, you know, as a former police detective, why did he run? I know one officer stopped him, and then were there others who came to the scene as well that made him nervous? What happened that made him so nervous that he ran?
Well, I mean, he has said that he was nervous just because of the number of officers that showed up for what he viewed as a traffic stop.
Okay.
But he readily says, in hindsight, he should not have run. I mean, the best.
How many cops showed up, though?
He says there were 4 of them there.
Okay.
And the reason for that was the Highway Patrol had reported a couple of counties away that someone was driving at a high rate of speed in a car that matched his car. Now, he didn't have the benefit of knowing that there were multiple people looking for a speeding car, so when they stopped him, that's the reason there were multiple officers on the scene. But from his perspective, it's a traffic stop. Why are there so many? Why are there 4 police officers for a traffic stop? Sure. And he got scared and ran. And of course, in hindsight, the better thing to do is dial 911 and say, I'm very uncomfortable. I've been stopped. Can you send a highway patrolman or someone else here to make sure I'm safe? That happens. Sometimes people get stopped by unmarked cars and they're nervous about it. I know I recently had a situation with a young man, and he felt uncomfortable, and he was being stopped by an unmarked car that just had lights, not visible ones, but the embedded ones. And he called 911, and they were able to assure him that is a legitimate police officer behind you. We have backup coming, pull over in the next parking lot. And that's a good way to handle it.
Yeah. And so he runs, and this officer is driving like a police kind of SUV truck type of vehicle and runs him over with that?
It's a 4-wheel drive pickup truck. Sheriff Patrol pickup truck.
What were his injuries after being run over by that?
Well, I don't know if you've seen the video yet, but if you see the video, it takes your breath away. But I'm happy to report that obviously he survived. This easily could have killed him. and second, he did not have life-threatening injuries. Now, we are, several months later, he is still having significant pain from this and needs ongoing medical care. He's pretty bruised and battered. His body took the full weight of a pickup truck running over him. So it's in his hips and his leg areas where he was run over, and there's a lot of pain still there. So I think they're going to eventually do an MRI and try to figure out, what else they can do to help him with the pain. He has a little bit of a problem with his hip when he walks.
Now, let me ask you this. Once the officer ran him over, so he's stopped by one officer, 3 other officers shows up. He's fearful, so he runs into this field. The one officer runs him over. What did the other 3 officers do during this encounter?
So when he runs into the field, this is a loose soil field. The officer that runs over him is in a 4-wheel drive pickup. He takes his truck into the field and pursues Mr. Womack, who is on foot. There is a second officer who's also in a 4-wheel drive truck. He follows the pursuing officer. He's the number 2, and it's his dash cam when your listeners watch. That's the second officer, the backup officer's dash cam that you see from. Those are the only 2 that could go in the field because they had 4-wheel drive pickups. You couldn't take a car into that field. The other officers had normal patrol cars. They couldn't get through the ditch and up into the field. So they were much further behind. By the time they got out of their cars and came into the field, the deed had been done. So it's the 2 officers, sheriff's deputies, who were in the field with him.
And so once this happens, he's injured. Did they charge him with anything? Did they find anything? What happened in terms of whatever criminal charges or whatever they tried to impose on him?
Well, that's an interesting question because initially they did not charge him with anything. They made a point of telling, in fact, told the hospital he was not in custody. He didn't have guards posted at his door as you would if you're in custody and you're in the hospital. They didn't have handcuffs, holding him to his bed, nothing like that. They told the hospital he was not in custody. After he walked out of that hospital, we have video from the hospital of him walking out the front doors on his own, limping along. It was after that they decided to charge him, and we have questions about that. It's almost like somebody thought, hey, after the fact, we better put some charges on him after we ran the guy over and put him in the hospital. So we have some questions about that. Also, along that same line, I'm disturbed because the undersheriff, when the paramedic first arrived on the scene and asked, hey, what happened here, as they do, tell me what happened, the undersheriff told the paramedic, and this is in the paramedic's report, undersheriff said he himself had watched the video twice, and that Mr. Womack was not run over by the truck, that Mr. Womack had veered in front of the truck and bumped into it and then fell to the ground screaming. And if you've watched the video, you know that's not true. And that's dangerous because if the paramedic had believed the undersheriff, Mr. Womack could have received insufficient care.
And so he goes to the hospital, he gets out, they charge him. What did they charge him with?
They've charged him with eluding.
Eluding the police, okay.
They charge him with eluding.
Okay. And so in terms of what happened to the officer who ran him over, what happened to him in the wake of this?
So far, to the best of my knowledge, nothing. As of the time filing the suit last Thursday, he was still patrolling. I have written to the sheriff multiple times. I drove out there. It's about 5 hours from Kansas City to where this happened. I got in my car and drove out there the first time I saw the video and went to see the sheriff in person and said to him, you must fire this deputy. And he said he wouldn't do it. I then followed up with a letter at the 2-month mark and said, this guy has to be fired, and he wouldn't do it. And now after 4 months, I've again written to him and said, you have to fire him. So far, it appears to me that no disciplinary action whatsoever has been taken against this deputy, and he's still carrying a gun, wearing a badge.
Wow. And so you filed suit last week. What is it that you are looking for in terms of justice for your client?
Well, multiple things. When this happens, this is a violation of the constitutional rights of Mr. Womack. And when any government official does something like this, whether it's law enforcement or otherwise, but usually it's law enforcement, we have to file these lawsuits to illuminate what's happening. The Womack family themselves are law enforcement officers. His wife is a current member of the Kansas City Police Department. His mother is a member of is an officer with Kansas City Police Department. His stepfather just recently left the employment of the Kansas City Police Department. He's got a couple of aunts that work there. So this is a law enforcement family. And so they are very clear that, look, there are a lot of good law enforcement officers out here, but we have to take these bad ones and we have to expose them, and they have to go. So this lawsuit is aimed at a couple of things, three things really. One is making certain the sheriff's office cleans itself up. This can't go on. They have to make changes. They have to engage in training. They have to make certain that their deputies understand constitutional rights of individuals, including people they want to arrest. Number two, it should be an example to all law enforcement, and really to all of us in society, that this kind of conduct cannot be tolerated. We have to weed out these bad members of law enforcement that are given, they have the right to do things the rest of us can't do. And that's an important power, but we have to watch them closely. And if there are bad ones, they have to go. And then the third thing is Mr. Womack is entitled to financial compensation for his injuries. And so those three things are really the goal of the lawsuit.
All right. Well, Mike Kuckelman, I want to thank you so much for joining us to talk about your client, Lionel Womack. How's he doing now physically and I guess, emotionally, mentally after this happened?
Well, obviously he was very shaken by it, and at first when things like this happen, people question, whether did I deserve it, and we've talked that through, and of course he knows he didn't. He of course readily says, I wish I hadn't run, I shouldn't have, and the answer to that is, well, okay, it would be better if you didn't, but never ever does a member of law enforcement have the right to use deadly force against someone unless that person themselves is a danger. So, walking him through that, when you say emotionally, it helps to kind of make certain that a person understands, this shouldn't have happened to you. You didn't deserve what happened to you. No one has the right to use deadly force against a fellow member of society, especially law enforcement, unless it's warranted. As far as medically, we really want him to get some more medical treatment. He needs to, they need to get to the bottom of what's causing the ongoing pain. He is walking with a limp, and we're talking about somebody who is very physically fit otherwise. This is a person that you could tell hits the gym regularly. He's a very fit person, and this has really changed his life.
Wow. All right. That's Mike Kuckelman. He is the lawyer representing Lionel Womack, who's injured after being run over by a police vehicle in Kansas. Mike Kuckelman, thanks for joining us this morning on WURD.
Okay, thank you for having me. Take care.
You too. So we're going to take your calls at 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio and let us know where you are on these various things we are talking about on this morning's show. 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio and let us know where you are on these various things we're talking about on this morning's show. Of course, you can also weigh in on Facebook at onWURD. That's FORWURD, FORWURD, and let us know where you are on these various things. So, Kawesa, what are they saying this morning on Facebook?
So we do have quite a few comments here. Atia Hicks says, hope he takes them for everything they got down to the last penny. That's one comment. And then also looks like some more comments resurfaced from earlier today when we were talking about just the representation of black folks in the media. And so Regina Neely says black women really do not desire white men. Many black men desire white women. And then several folks went on to say, not the normal, but black women do desire white men. And Regina Neely is saying, I agree, the average sister does not want one of them. So those are a couple comments that we have there. We also have Laverne Farron saying, this is not the 1800s. White people don't get it. And then we also have, let me see here. Oops. Kimberly Fair saying, good morning, Word. But was he driving erratically when they stopped him? If they were looking for a person in a car driving erratically 2 counties over, of course we know why he ran. So that's another comment that we have. Mike Jackson says, sounds like the cop, Officer Rodriguez, was acting like he was on a slave patrol. So that's another comment. And then we also have Atia Hicks saying, not trying to fire him. They think it's still slave catchers. So that's another comment. And lastly, Gail Robinson says, wow, this racism is just so poisonous and deeply rooted. It is sickening. So, yeah, quite a few other comments that we have here, but those are just a few that I'm seeing here right now. So thank you.
Right. All right. So, of course, you can continue to weigh in on Facebook. We'll get to those on the other side. I want to remind you that if you want to buy black for the holidays, we've got you covered. Word Radio is proud to present our virtual holiday marketplace online. Support local, small, black-owned businesses through the marketplace and purchase your holiday gifts today. Go to wordradio.com/marketplace or wordworks.com/marketplace. We're going to go to break. On the other side, it's what's trending, and then right back to your calls. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Dietz & Watson has been making premium meats and artisan cheeses for over 80 years. And when it comes to stacking sandwiches and party platters, they've got something for everyone in the family, like maple honey turkey breast, American cheese, buffalo chicken, and more. So get to your local deli and taste 4 generations of family recipes. With Dietz & Watson on the table, you'll have everyone coming back for seconds and thirds. Dietz & Watson, it's a family thing since 1939.
Step by Step Home Care Professionals is one of Philadelphia's fastest growing black-owned home care employers, and they are hiring. If you are a caring, nurturing, and compassionate person who enjoys helping people in need, Step by Step Home Care Professionals is looking to hire you. Go to sbshome.care to complete an employment application. That's sbshome.care or call 610-321-3108 for more information and ask for Monet. Step by Step Home Care Professionals is hiring today.
He's back.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton. Keeping it real.
With the Reverend Al Sharpton.
In times like these, we have to stay connected.
At a brand new time.
Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. till midnight.
I'm excited that Keeping It Real returns to WURD.
Keeping it real.
With the Reverend Al Sharpton.
Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. till midnight.
This program is pre-recorded.
No phone calls, please.
Keep it locked to WURD 96.1 FM, 900 AM. WURDradio.com.
Monday through Thursday, keep it locked to Word Radio. At 6 a.m., start your day with the Power Hour, hosted by Bishop Dwayne Royster and Reverend Mark Kelly Tyler. At 7, it's Wake Up with Word with Solomon Jones. At 10 a.m., it's Reality Check with Charles Ellison. Then at 1 p.m., it's The Source, hosted by Andrea Lawful Sanders on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, and the Black Women's Leadership Council on Wednesdays. At 4 p.m., it's Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro. Then at 7, it's Save Space with Sincerely Sarita. At 9 p.m., round up your day with Keeping It Real with the Reverend Al Sharpton.
Keep your dial locked
to Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Streaming live on wordradio.com and the Word Radio app.
Or watch live on Word TV via Facebook and YouTube. Word Radio. Independent Black Media.
Back by popular demand.
It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on Word Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD. Here's what's trending.
Yo, that's crazy.
On Wake Up with Word.
Netflix is set to explore the chaotic year that has been 2020 in a new mockumentary. Samuel L. Jackson stars alongside an ensemble cast in Death to 2020. Netflix dubbed the show as the, quote, cathartic comedy event you'll never forget about, the year you really, really don't want to remember.
And President-elect Joe Biden received the COVID-19 vaccine yesterday, demonstrating on television that the shot is safe and necessary to protect the country from the virus that's already killed hundreds of thousands of Americans. Biden received the first course of the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine at Christiana Care Hospital in Delaware.
And Tiffany Haddish has partnered with Ready to Succeed and recently announced her She Ready internship program set to launch in 2021. The new program was created as a, quote, career and personal development program that provides youth impacted by foster care with the resources, relationships, and opportunities they need to thrive both personally and professionally. And that is what's trending.
All right, that's what's trending right here on WURD Radio. If you want to get in, it is 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD. You can, of course, also weigh in on Facebook at ForWord, at FORWURD. That's FORWURD. And let us know where you are on these various things we are talking about on this morning show. So, Kawesa, it's the 22nd. Are you ready for the big day on Friday?
Yes. Yes, I am. I had to take a minute. I was like, Friday? What's Friday? That's how busy I've been. I'm not even. But yes, I'm ready. I have all my gifts. I spent way too much money. So yeah, my credit card is really, side-eyeing me right now.
Like what you doing?
Yeah. If the credit card could talk. Oh, the stories.
I hear you. I am not ready at all. And so I'm going to be that dude kind of, moving around a little bit in order to get some of the things that we need to get before Friday. So I'm not going to be the guy driving real fast in the parking lot. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do any of that, but I am going to have to move around a little bit to get some of this stuff done. So y'all keep me in prayer as I do that, but I'm happy to do it and happy to be able to do it. And so, thank God for that. There have been some Christmases, man, where things was tight. You know what I mean? So happy to be able to do that. So I want to hear from you. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. But you know what, though? The one thing I'm happy about, I'm glad I got a wife, man, because she got, the kids got their stuff. So they, they are good. And she got some other stuff, on our behalf for some of our relatives. So I'm going to have to go out and, just do a little bit more, put my personal touch on it. But I'm telling you, man, the Bible says he who finds a wife finds a good thing. Yeah, Bible's right. So, because we wouldn't be ready for nothing. We wouldn't remember any holidays. We wouldn't remember birthdays. We wouldn't remember, let alone kids would not be born. If men had to do it, I've seen it 3 times. Yeah, we'd be extinct by now. So, so I appreciate her, but I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD. You can, of course, also weigh in on Facebook at ForWord. That's FORWURD, FORWURD. Kawesa, what are they saying this morning on Facebook?
A few comments here. Diane Fassett says, we keep on saying that these crimes that police commit can't be tolerated, but they certainly are. And as long as there's no consequences, it will continue. So that is one comment that we have here. And then also we have Kimberly Ferris saying good morning to us, and also saying good morning to a couple other people. She's saying happy, healthy, peaceful holiday season. And then Zen Motley says a black man running through the woods with no shirt, chased by white men. End of story. Oh my gosh. And then so that's another comment that we have here. And then we have Casa Who's saying, it looks like qualified immunity is still being practiced in law enforcement in America. Shaking my head. That's another comment that we have here. Pamela Womack Gardner says, I enjoyed listening daily to the show from Indiana. Today was not just hot, it was sizzling with all the guests advising us regarding actions being taken around the U.S. To get justice for black people. So that's another comment that we have here as well. And then Sharon Edwards actually just agreeing with Zen Motley, saying, I feel you, my black man. So, those are just a few more comments that we do have here on our Facebook page.
All right, so we got a couple minutes. If you want to call in, you can certainly do that at 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio, and let us know where you are on these various things we are talking about on this morning show. 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. So we're talking about a number of things, of course, including our top 3 stories, which are story number 1. Remember the coronavirus aid we told you about? Well, it's one step closer to reality. Late last night, the Senate approved a mammoth package of emergency economic relief, government funding, and tax cuts, sending one of the largest pieces of legislation ever approved by Congress to President Trump for enactment. Story number 2, Attorney General Bill Barr on Monday rejected several of Trump's inflammatory and unfounded statements regarding the presidential election, saying at a news conference that he does not plan to appoint a special counsel to investigate President-elect Joe Biden's son, Hunter, or to investigate the election. Story number 3, is the media racist? Well, large papers in major cities are starting to pose that question about themselves, and more, their answer is yes. The Kansas City Star has apologized for what it's calling decades of robbing an entire community of opportunity, dignity, justice, and recognition. They talk a lot about what they've done historically, right? And they say their reporters are appalled by the racism that they saw in some of the past reporters, and that's fine. I think that that's something that's needed. My question is, what are you doing now? Right? Do you have black editors now? Is there a black publisher now? Are there black people in your ownership group now? Right? Are there black reporters who actually know about the communities that they're reporting on, that you are employing now? See, I understand historically, right? And it's a deep thing. Everybody want to look at what happened historically until you say, yo, y'all got to pay for that. Then all of a sudden, we wasn't there. You know what I'm saying? Like, it annoys me a little bit. You know what I mean, Kuwaisa? Like, when you start talking about, okay, well, man, these are the things that were done historically, and we are just appalled that our forebears did that. All right, well, how about pay for that? Then all of a sudden, don't nobody want to talk about history. You ever notice that?
Yeah, no, I notice it. Listen, I mean, there's not. No, I'm sorry. I just really, in all honesty, it's craziness. It really, really is. And we continue to deal with this stuff day in and day out. And it's like, no, but they do. They get mum when it comes to that topic. They really do. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when you start talking about them ducats, you start talking about that money, right. Then all of a sudden ain't nobody got nothing to say. Get out of here, man. So I take it with a grain of salt, and I take it, and it just prompts for me more questions about what are you doing now? Are you examining what's happening now? Have you looked around your newsroom now? How many black people are in there now? How many black people are in decision-making positions now, right? Do you have a black photo editor that can say, no, we are not going to run that photo because it makes black people look like buffoons? Right? We are not going to run that photo because it implies that everybody in the black community lives in, chaos, right? And when it's the furthest thing from the truth. And so we need to just make sure that we say, yes, we certainly appreciate you taking that historical look at what you've done in the past. What are you doing now. So I want to hear from you. Give me a call. 215-634-8065 is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio, and let us know where you are on these various things we are talking about on this morning show. 215-634-8065 is the number that you can call to get in. I do want to remind you that today, as always, at 6 o'clock, we're going to be doing our Man Up PHL mentoring session. And we're going to be talking about black manhood and some issues around the holiday season and providing and protecting during the season. So we're going to be talking about that this evening at 6 p.m. at Man Up PHL on Facebook. So make sure you check that out as well. So, of course, we got a whole lot going on. I think tomorrow is the start of the Sixers season, Kawesa. So I got my Sixers jersey. My son said I got to wear it with a hoodie. So now I got to get a hoodie to put underneath this jersey. But I think I'm going to put my jersey on for tomorrow's show just to show my support for our team. What do you think is going to happen with them?
They're looking good. You know, and you always know how I feel. You know, I gotta only really go hard for one team, but I'm always gonna support. Like always. I'm not like one of those fair weather bandwagon type people. Like no, like I want them to do well. You know, my heart just can't take all of the ups and downs. But you know, they're looking good. I feel like, you know, we might have a chance. Knock on wood. You know, I'm knocking on wood right now, but maybe we'll have a better chance with our basketball team as opposed to our football team.
Yeah. We will see, and that will be it for today's show. I want to thank everybody who tuned in, and of course, I want to thank all of our guests, including Lily Head and Joyce Christian, both of whom are daughters of a man who was victimized by the Tuskegee experiments. They said that happened. Yes, we want justice. Yes, but in terms of this vaccine, don't use that as an excuse not to take it. Lawyer Michael Kuckelman joined us to talk about the case of Lionel Womack, his client who was run over by police, and of course, Dr. Elena McDonald and Dr. Delana Wardlaw joined us to talk about the coronavirus, and CNN commentator Roxanne Jones, as always, keeping it real. And now, for everybody here at WURD Radio, including super producer Kawesa Mathis, I am your host, Solomon Jones, saying stay tuned for Reality Check with Charles Ellison, and tune in tomorrow at 7 for more Wake Up with Word. Peace.